Hello, everybody. Let's play a game. What's up, guys? Whoever's in the room, I'm just setting up something real quick. Hello, if you're here. Hello, hello, hello. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just finishing setting this up. I just got back from it, hence the title of the video. I honestly, this isn't necessarily for people to just jump in and say, I want to know this, this, this. I kind of want to talk to people about it. Like, I'm hoping there's people here that have seen it. It came out at like 6 o'clock today for the public. So there's a good chance there's a bunch of you that have seen it. I'm more so looking for people to chat about with it. Just give me 2 more seconds and I'm good. All right. What is that? Bold of you to assume people have seen this day one. I'm just hoping there's some people out there. I figure most of the people that I talk to are major movie fans. So I'm wondering if they're on right now. None of my friends are up right now because they have work tomorrow and they probably haven't seen it anyway. But I was just curious to see people's thoughts on it. I liked it. I thought it was good. I wasn't blown away by it, but I thought it was good. Just curious to see. I figured I'm going to be up anyway editing videos, so I might as well just click this on. If no one's seen it or no one wants to talk about it, then I'll just stop doing this. But how you been? Can you believe? How you been, bud? I should have said hi to you first. I haven't talked to you in 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't do live streams the last 2 weeks because I had Monster Mania and then something else happened one of the other weeks. I don't even remember. Oh, it was Labor Day, I guess. But you seem to always jump in. How are you doing? I didn't know you mastered the art of making a bed to the point of I know, you see that? That's pretty incredible, right? I actually traded my purple bed. I had a purple bed 4. It was way too soft. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad. It was comfortable as shit. But I would wake up and I almost felt like I was gel because I was just so relaxed. And I have to do construction. So I did not want to have to deal with that. It was like I was going to work and I was so relaxed. Like I was like probably going to hurt myself. So I downgraded to a 3, believe it or not. But I have to let it form. Yeah. Honestly, I know people that have the original and I had the 4. This is the 3. I know the 2 and I know the 4 already. I'm loving this one. It's the perfect combination of soft and firm. So sorry, whoever else is in the room, but yes, purple bed. It is forming right now. That is why there's no sheets or pillows on my bed. They said it has to sit for like 8 to 12 hours to form its shape. I don't want to ruin a $3,000 bed, so I'm letting it do it. But anyone have any questions? Anyone saw it? Did anyone in the room see the movie yet? I'm curious what other people think of it. There's no reviews up or anything. I went on YouTube. There's some reviews, but there's like not a whole lot. I'm thinking maybe people just weren't rushing out to see this movie. I had tickets opening day, obviously. I was a big fan of it, though. I was a huge fan of the 80s even though I know it's cheesiness, especially the second half. I was always like a fan of the original miniseries. I watched it many a time. I watched it last night, and then today I watched chapter 1 of the new one. So I caught myself all up to date on everything, refreshed myself, went and saw this. Thoughts on whether or not it should have contained the child sewer orgy scene? Yeah, I didn't read the book, but I do know of what you're speaking of. And obviously it was unnecessary. Stephen King even says himself when people asked him, Stephen King says, like, I was on a lot of drugs. I was drinking a lot. But his meaning behind it was that it was the passage to adulthood. Like, what quick way could I show people that these kids have grown? And that was his choice. So clearly not the greatest choice, especially in today's day and age. But That was not in the movie, obviously. That was chapter 1 anyway. That would have been chapter 1. Anybody? I see there's a bunch of people in the room. I'm curious if anyone's seen it. Or if you didn't see it, you could ask me questions. If you're in the room, here's my thoughts. There are so many spoiler reviews up right now that if you guys want to ask me things, I'll spoil it for you if you want to, because you could just as easily go check out other reviews. So if you want to know specifics, I'll let you know. But I kind of want to talk to people about it. Hello. I think I've seen you. I don't know, Milo, Adrian. I think I've seen you write comments recently. Thank you for loving Love, Death, and Robots. How was Bill Hader? Bill Hader, what everyone's saying this, so I'm being repetitive if you've watched other reviews, but Bill Hader was the best. Jessica Chastain, honestly, was probably my second favorite, but Bill Hader was great. I already love Bill Hader, so maybe I'm slightly biased, but I feel like even if I was an outsider watching him, everything he did was perfect. And he also had the most camera time. Like, it wasn't like, oh, he was just good in the scenes they gave him. Bill Hader was probably the lead, I'd say. Like, he was probably the most focused on it, even more than James McAvoy's character. Like, Bill, I would say it was probably like Bill Hader, then Jessica Chastain, and James McAvoy kind of shared about the same amount. The rest of the characters were like side guys. Eddie, I loved, but Eddie was like not in it a whole lot. Eddie was probably fourth in line behind Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy, but I loved him. Eddie was great, and his older, I get what's his name, James. What's the character? James Ranzone, I think is the actor. He was a perfect match for younger Eddie, and I loved younger Eddie too. I would say Richie and Eddie were my favorite younger and my favorite older, which is really hard to do, to get child actors and adult actors that in separate movies are your favorites in a group of people like that. Very hard to come by. So definitely would say Richie and Eddie were my favorite, and Eddie wasn't in it nearly as much as the rest. So that's pretty good on his part as an acting job, that as an adult, he was able to keep up with the rest. But Bill Hader was phenomenal. Thoughts on the news that RDJ will reprise his role? Yeah, I saw that yesterday or today. It was either this morning or last night I saw that. I'm cool with that. I've said from the beginning, if you guys have watched my other Marvel talks, I said from the very beginning, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as AI. I just kept saying that he was going to come back in Spider-Man suit. But now that Spider-Man is no longer in the MCU, that's kind of hard to do. But that was my original thoughts. The second I even thought Iron Man might die, I was like, no, they're going to put him in AI and he's going to go in Spider-Man suit because that's his protege. But then now Sony took back Spider-Man, and I don't know, maybe that was never their intent, but now they can't do it even if they wanted to. So that is my thoughts on that. But I'm happy with it. I'm fine. I love Robert Downey Jr. So I don't care if you cut corners and bring him back to life. He's my favorite, so I'm okay with that. Did the cosmic god turtle appear? Earmuffs if you don't want to hear this, but it's a spoiler talk. No, he doesn't. I was so upset. They had nothing about the turtle. All you see is in a flashback, you see the Lego turtle from chapter 1. You see the Lego turtle from chapter 1, and that's it. You don't see nothing else. Totally nonsense. I mean, I guess it would be, it'd be interesting to see how they do that with the mythical turtle. I forget his name. It begins with an M. It's like Mataron, something with an M. But it'd be interesting to see how someone could do that with special effects nowadays. That'd be pretty cool. But no, he had nothing to do with it. And I kind of figured it wouldn't. I thought they were going to keep it like more alien-like kind of stuff going on, not like craziness like that. Oh, Murin? Is that how you pronounce it, Myles? Murin? I feel like it was longer than that. I feel like I remember a longer name, but I mean, you know better than I. Welcome, Myles Johnson, by the way. I feel like you commented recently too. Myles, did I just banter with you recently, or did you just write a comment recently? Liam the vlogger, what happened at the end? Like, there's a lot that happened. Like, be more specific because a lot happens. Like, you mean like how he died, who lives, whether I was in the movie at the end? I mean, I could. Oh, yes. So, just real quick, he turns into a spider. I don't know if you've seen the miniseries, but it is basically. Oh, that's it. Muturon. Okay. Sorry, that was actually my first response. Got you. Yes, that looks more familiar. All right. Myles, that's the name of the turtle. If you guys want to know the name of the turtle, Myles Johnson. Thank you, Myles, for putting it there. But to answer Liam the vlogger, which I like that name. I don't know why it's drawing my eyes. But anyway, if you saw the miniseries, at the end, very cheesy, turns into a spider. They flip him over, rip his heart out. They kind of still do that, only he turns into a crazy, awesome CGI spider, which I thought was very well done, and chases them. He is like 50 feet tall, like huge spider guy in a cavern, chasing him around. And then basically, to sum it all up without going into specifics for 20 minutes, this is not a joke. This is the only part I didn't like. They believe him to be smaller and he shrinks down to size and they just kill him. That's literally how they kill him. He basically, there's a lot more to it than that, but to sum it all up, they literally just believe that he isn't as big and bad as he is, and he literally shrinks down to nothing and he dies. That's literally what happens. I'm not even kidding. I wouldn't believe it if someone told me that, but that's literally what happens. Like I said, there's more specifics involved and stuff, but in a nutshell, that is what happens. Yes, they kept the spider, not the turtle, but the spider looks amazing. The spider looks, I mean, it's not the greatest CGI thing I ever saw, but it's very well done. It is literally the top portion is it. The clown, the clown is the top portion and the bottom is the spider. So it is a gigantic, like, what the fuck is the actor's name? I'm trying to look at the thing, what his name is. I don't know. Bill Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård is the entire top portion, and it's just a wicked looking, awesome CGI spider. Fights them. It lasts a good 20 minutes, honestly. It's like a 20-minute fight. They get thrown into realms where they got to battle their inner demons and stuff like that. But in the end, they literally conquer him like that. Only, I mean, it's still done. It's not done in like a horrible practical effects way like the miniseries did. It's done very well for what it is, but it is what it is. They literally killed him by believing he wasn't strong. That's the only negative I could see it. Otherwise, I love the movie. Everyone, the acting was great, the casting was great. Honestly, even people are saying it's too long. It was dragged out. It was, but if you're a fan of the Stephen King, you don't mind it. Like I didn't mind. I would have sat there for another hour. I wish they dived more into the bully Henry Bowers. They were very few very few things about Henry Bowers. He like was thrown in real quick. They like did their thing with him and then boop, he's gone. And then you're like, up. So you like it was almost like a 3-hour movie that felt rushed at certain points. Was there an end credit scene? Liam the Voyager, Liam the Voyager, Liam the Vlogger. I didn't stay for the end credits because Muschietti and all them already said that was it. It was done. So honestly, like when the ending happened, I was kind of like so deep in thought about why I disapproved of it that I didn't even stick around to say. Not that I hated the movie or anything. I just don't understand why they'd have an after credit scene. He literally said like, this is it, like the final end. Like they're not going to do another one. So to me, it'd be like kind of cheap to put an after credit scene. There might be one. I didn't stick around, honestly. I just really thought there wasn't. So I didn't bother sticking around to see. And I even looked on AMC. I have like the AMC app. It didn't say, I guess, because I went to such an early showing. It didn't say. Normally, like if you look, it'll say there is an after credit scene or there is not, but I didn't see it. You gonna watch Pet Cemetery? What the movie? I've seen it already. Can you believe I'm not clear? I saw the movie, the new one and the old one. I've seen them all. I've seen the sequel. I've seen the new. I've seen the old. But yeah, what does that say? That's some JoJo level insanity that his own superpowered turtle. But yeah, that's how it went down. The movie as a whole was good though. It was just there were certain things they did where I don't know why they went the direction they did, but I don't know. I didn't make the movie. Liam the vlogger, you've been on my chats before, right? Your name does look familiar. How did they deal with Eddie's death? That was probably one of the better parts of the movie with Eddie's death. They basically whatchamacallit, when he turned into the giant spider, they all had to get thrown into like different areas. They're in the caves, they're deep inside the sewers, which is now like caverns that they dug down into. So they all kind of like have to split up, or they're not necessarily have to, they're kind of just forced to. And Eddie's with Richie. They go through like a whole little charade, and then you think Bill Hader is going to like go at the spider, and the deadlights shoot on him. And it's really cool how it happens. Actually, a lot of people are talking about this in reviews and stuff. Bill Hader gets sucked in the deadlights, and he like runs out and he's like, "What do you think? You're tough." Blah, blah, blah. And he just immediately like drops like a puppet, and his arms dangle, and he's like a marionette. He's literally just like dangling like a marionette, and he rises up, and like Bill Hader's about to die. You see the giant spider head teeth are coming out, about to eat Bill Hader. And then Eddie runs out, who's been like kind of the coward the whole episode, the whole movie. Eddie's like sort of been the coward. And there was one moment, I think it was with Richie. No, it was with someone else. I can't remember who it was, but there was one moment earlier where Eddie could have saved somebody. And James McAvoy was like, "Eddie, get the knife, get the knife." And Eddie just freezes. So I guess he felt guilty for freezing prior. And now he's like, Bill Hader is trapped in the deadlights, about to die. Eddie runs out with the spiked javelin like thing that Beverly stabbed him with in the first chapter. They got that again. I forget how. I think they went back in the house or whatever. But Eddie grabs it, and he was like, this is a tool that will kill you, because they now believe that tool will kill him. And he javelins it through the mouth, which therefore hits the deadlights, throws it back. It gets harpooned through the chest, the giant spider. Bill Hader drops, comes back too. And Eddie runs over and he's like, "Did you see what I did? Did you see what I did?" Boom. Spider leg through the chest, like giant, like hole like this big in his stomach. And then Eddie is whipped across the room, smashed into the rocks. And basically he is dead at that point. He like says a few words. He like pulls everyone in. Everyone's crying and emotional. It was emotional. It was actually very well done, but they're all crying around him and stuff. And then Bill Hader like runs over to him, and he's like very emotional, and he's like crying, and they're embracing. And then Eddie's pretty much a goner, and Eddie's like, "I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell you something." And Bill Hader's like, "What?" And he's like, "I fucked your mother." And that's literally like his last words. So Eddie literally his last words. He might have said something else, but I'm pretty sure Eddie's last words were, "I fucked your mother," to Bill Hader. So that is how Eddie died, but it was handled well. I liked it. It was much better than the miniseries, but it was definitely done well. Thank you very much, Adrian. I got to call you Adrian because I don't know if I could pronounce that. I'm thinking it's Malo. It's either I'm going to say Milo, Malo. I don't know, but I'm going to call you Adrian for now, so I don't mispronounce it. But thank you. But yeah, and then big giant spoiler. I'm assuming everyone in this room either doesn't care or has already seen it, but this is a big spoiler that I didn't even see coming. At the very end, there's like maybe little subtle hints that I realized later, but at the end, this is not a joke either. I'm being serious. It ends up Richie Tozer, who is Bill Hader, is gay and was actually in love with Eddie. And that's why Bill Hader got so emotional and like embraced him. And they had like a moment. And like, I guess Eddie could see that Bill Hader like had an emotional, like more than just friends thing. And that's why he was like, "I fucked your mother," like as a joke, kind of like tossing it back. And I was like, wait a second, is this happening? And then I was still not sure. But then at the very end, like the closing scene, it shows them all parting their ways. And you see Bill Hader go over to like the bridge that they threw one of the kids. Wait, no, actually, it's not the same bridge. Regardless, I think it's the I think it's the bridge that the bullies threw Ben off of. I could be wrong about that. Regardless, not necessary. Bill Hader carves his initials in with a I with like a love, like R for Richie, love, and then carves an E. So he literally carves in the bridge, Richie loves Eddie or whatever on the bridge. And that's how like it ends. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's the closing scene, or no, actually right after that, Mike drives away, but that's it. It's like one of the closing scenes is Bill Hader carving. It's like a very subtle, like thing. Like he is coming out of the closet almost. He never reveals it to any of his friends. It's never spoke to anybody during the entire course of the movie. Totally came out of left field. I know from the miniseries that they alluded that Eddie was gay in the miniseries, but they in this you could clearly see Eddie is like even though Eddie's like kind of like a coward and a pushover, he's still like seems like a straight dude. He talks about dating girls and stuff. In the miniseries, Eddie, you could see was like more flamboyant, and he definitely came off as like a mama's boy, and he was like in love with his mom, living with his mom. He just had tendencies that showed that he was like, they were basically saying like he might be gay. But in this, there is nothing like that. It just literally, which I kind of enjoy because it adds another like element to Bill Hader's character. You're basically like, holy shit, like the whole time you didn't even think that he was. So it goes to show that like your best friend could be and you won't even know it. Like all of them didn't even know it. So I actually really thought that was cool how they did that. That was like they did that in a unique way. You don't see that done often where like they could touch on things like that. So it was something I didn't see coming at all. And I kind of picked up on subtly, but wasn't sure. And then at the end, it's like, boom, it is what you thought it was. That guy looked straight, thought he'd appear more gay. Yeah, like that kind of, like, honestly, that. Like, that's what they do in movies and TV, though. They're like, we want you to know this guy is gay. So we're going to either make him overly flamboyant or just flat out tell you, hey, I'm gay. But in this, it was just like, no, it's not about him being gay. It's about killing a killer clown. And at the end of the day, hey, just in case you guys didn't know, I was gay this whole time. That's kind of like a cool way to spin it. Yeah, like that. Like, yeah. Like they're like, yeah, we're not going to waste any more time. Omar is a badass, but yeah, he's gay. He likes guys. We're just going to tell you that off day one. That's like, yeah, you can take either method. I mean, in The Wire, you got to do that because you want people being like, don't focus on that element. It is what it is. But now focus on Omar just murdering everybody. But yeah, no, I thought they handled it very, very well. In the beginning of the movie, there's like a very brutal gay bash scene, like gay bashing scene. There's like the movie starts out with a gay couple at a fair and they're being like picked on by town bullies. And literally the town bullies follow them out of the fair where no one's around. And they literally beat the living shit out of the two gay guys, the town bullies, like brutal. Like, I saw it with my sister and a bunch of my friends, and I was sitting next to my sister. I actually looked at her and I was like, I cannot believe they're going this far in the like even in a movie, like an R-rated movie. Like they were beating the crap out of this guy and then like literally like looked like he was like unconscious and threw him over the bridge into the river, like to basically drown him and die. Like it was a extremely brutal scene. Reminder that Rawls is that's right. Rawls was at the gay bar. Rawls was at the gay bar, dropped harder than Britney Spears' baby. But yeah, like that scene, I honestly, it like I sat there. I've seen a lot of movies. You guys have known this, tens of thousands of movies. This was like one of the most brutal beatings I've seen in recent memory. I like actually sat there struggling to think of like something I've seen that was worse. But it did the job. And honestly, like it probably was like something real that may have really happened or like something that could happen. I don't know, but like it was very real. It felt very real. I was like literally in my seat, like, oh my God, like I can't believe this is happening on screen. And I don't have a weak stomach, but like not that I'm saying like I got sick or anything, but this was like a brutal beating. Besides that, the only big scenes I can remember that were crazy was if you guys have seen the trailer. I've never seen the It films, but the most brutal thing in film. Did they touch on Eddie's past? Myles, did they touch on? Not. They touched on everyone's past like very quickly. Like the only ones they really focused on were, I don't know, actually not really. Like basically each person had like a little thing. Like Richie, they like went back and they showed like how he like was like, I don't know, like something about the clubhouse or something. Everyone, it was so subtle that I don't even remember half of them. They literally just did like boom, 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 little flashbacks. I don't know what you guys are talking. Did they touch on Eddie's blah, blah? But yeah, no, they basically each person had like something small. I'm trying to even remember what Eddie's was. Oh, Eddie's like little flashback thing was he went to the pharmacy where he picks up his prescriptions, and the instead of the mini series where it was the guy's son. I don't know if you guys have seen the miniseries, but it was the guy who owns the pharmacy's son now runs the pharmacy. And he was like, hey, I remember you. And his grandfather was in the back room and turns into it or something like that. But in this one, the guy that runs the pharmacy has a daughter, and the daughter basically like was like popping gum and like was just like an airhead kind of girl. And it like basically makes a crack on how she, like in the miniseries, the dad basically says like, your mom was tricking you. You don't need your inhaler. In this one, she's like, oh, what do you got, your dick pills? And he's like, what, my dick pills? And she's like, yeah, like I heard you have problem getting erections and stuff like that. She's basically telling him, you're taking bullshit, like this is shit, like you're taking drugs that don't do anything because there's nothing wrong with you. But they took a different spin on it from the miniseries. Instead of it being a guy, it was a girl. I mean, like his son, it was his daughter. But the guy himself was just as creepy and weird. So I don't know. It was, but like they didn't really focus at all on the past. That's why I said in the beginning, it was like the most dragged out, rushed movie, if that makes sense. Because it was like really long, but the parts that they dragged out were the parts that were not necessary. I wish they knocked an hour off the draggy parts and just put more into the background of the characters. There wasn't a whole lot at all. And what there was de-aging. And you could, I mean, it wasn't the worst, but you could definitely tell, like, especially with the Ben Hanscom, the chubby kid, and Finn Wolfhard, who was Richie Tozer. The two of them, you could tell all the time, basically. It was like ridiculous. Like Finn Wolfhard looked like they squished his face and he looked like a little pudgy dough head because now he's all lanky and tall and he grew like a foot. But yeah, no, they like, I wish they should have looked at the film and been like, even if they're like, that could pass, they should have just cut it out and just like added, like maybe like have like a time, like have a year or two go by and then have Finn have a flashback about like, oh, 2 years after it, and then have him be lanky, tall Finn Wolfhard. I mean, or just not even put it in the movie. Yeah, put something else. They could have, there's so much they left out. They could have definitely added it. Can you watch it? What do you mean, can I watch it? OP Shane. What do you mean, can I watch it? I saw it already. I went to the theaters. I don't have it. Like, I don't have it. I don't know what you mean. But if you guys saw the trailer with the creepy old lady, the scene with the creepy old lady, literally, I don't scare easy, guys. It literally, I kind of half jumped out of my seat because this lady runs out with titties swinging like giant floppy old lady boobies and googly eyes, and her head is as big as like friggin' body. And she's like, blah, 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 like dangling with her googly eye head, and literally her boobs are slopping around. Like, I'm pretty sure they smacked Jessica Chastain at least like 2 or 3 times. So, and the way it happens, like you see it in the trailer where it's like doom, 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 doom. When she's running out of the hallway, it immediately flashes to that creepy old lady. It freaked the shit out of me. That one and the Paul Bunyan scene. The Paul Bunyan scene, people told me, get ready for the Paul Bunyan scene. And even knowing this was going to happen, I literally was like, I hit my sister. I'm like, Paul Bunyan scene, Paul Bunyan scene. The second I hit her, I almost shit myself because it like jumps at you and just screeching and screaming, and you like don't know what to do with yourself. You're literally just like, it's so loud and there's so much flashing on the screen. You know it's there, but you're just like, I'm fearing everything around me. I want to just cry. And then literally it happens so fast and quick. It's over before you know it. And it happens to Richie Tozer. And Richie Tozer is laying on the ground, and it's Bill Hader. And he's like, oh my God, I just shit my fucking pants. And I looked at my sister and I'm like, I might have shit my pants. I'm not by. Obviously, I didn't shit my pants, but it was fucking horrifying. So I give it to them. It's not even like I said, it's not that it was the scariest thing I ever saw. It's that it's horrifying, and they're flashing images like giving you epileptic fits, and then you have the IMAX theater blasting like sirens in your head. It is like all your senses are going off, and it just totally like shocks the crap out of you. Like, I could even like, even if you hear what I'm saying, people have said this to me about the Paul Bunyan scene, and I was like, that won't get me because I'll be fine with it. You go see this in IMAX and you wait till the Paul Bunyan scene. You'll know, because you'll see Paul Bunyan and then you'll go, this is the Paul Bunyan scene. And then 5 seconds later, you will shit your pants. More brutal than the death of Joe. Yeah, no, seedless. I wasn't saying it was the most brutal death I've seen. It was like the most brutal act, I'd say, because these were like innocent guys that were just on a date, like two gay guys on a date at a fair, and they were not even fighting back. They didn't deserve it. You're right. The Joe Pesci scene is very brutal, but he like deserved it. And you're like, I understand why. These were like two young gay guys that were like a couple and were bothering no one. And then these guys just like walked up on him and beat him to like basically to death. He didn't die there, but he died later. They literally beat him to death, and he was just like a defenseless guy. Like, it wasn't even that he was like a weak guy. He was actually like he was actually defending himself, and just like he was like, why are you guys doing this? Like, what? Like, he was kind of sassing off to them, but I don't blame him because there were 4 dudes ganging up on him. It was kind of stupid, I guess, to sass off to 4 guys like that. You could end up getting beat up, but I understand why he did it. Like, he was defending himself, but he literally they just blindsided him, sucker punched him, and just pummeled him, like beat the tar out of him. So like, that's what I kind of meant by like brutal beating. Like, yeah, there are definitely worse brutal scenes I've seen in horror, and the casino is a good example. That's brutal when he buries Joe Pesci alive. That's some crazy shit. But I meant like just like cringing, like you're like, oh my God, like I can't believe this is happening to these people. Like, they don't deserve that kind of thing. What about the leper from the first movie? I'm pretty sure he's a. I'm guessing you're saying or a hobo. I'm pretty sure he's a leper. He's in it a lot, and I'm not kidding you. The leper rapes Eddie's mom. That wasn't a flashback. He kind of is like older Eddie, and he goes down to the pharmacy basement where he had the flashback of the girl, and he remembers being a kid and hearing creepy noises. But now he's like adult Eddie. Oh no, that's right. He is. He's actually young Eddie. That might be Eddie's flashback thing. And I'm starting. Sorry, guys. It was so long and I just saw it. So I'm trying to refresh. Eddie went back in after the girl did the whole thing with the medication. He goes down into the basement of the pharmacy because he hears noises. Eddie's mother, who is very overweight at this point now, is strapped to a gurney. And the leper is tied to the like a wall in the corner. And he's like trying to break free, and he breaks free, and Eddie's mom is like, Eddie, save me. And he literally, that's where he fucked up. That was where he fucked up. Eddie could have saved his mom, but Eddie was like so afraid of the leper that he literally ran away, didn't help his mom, and the leper literally lunges on his mom, starts French kissing her, and starts like basically raping Eddie's mother. And then Eddie runs away, but like Eddie's mom is alive later. So I don't know if that was just in his young mind. They never really touch on that. They kind of just have that flashback to show that Eddie was a coward. That was the whole point of that flashback, was to show that Eddie was a coward so that later on he could save Bill Hader and redeem himself. But the leper literally rapes Eddie's mom. Like, they don't show penetration or anything, but he freaking rapes his mom. What about that scene from Hobo with a Shotgun where two guys light a school bus full of children aflame? Yes, I do. I actually did see Hobo with a Shotgun, and I do. That's what I'm saying. But like if you go to see Hobo with a Shotgun, you know that there's going to be trauma-esque type things where they just have violence and gore for the sake of it. I've seen every trauma movie under the sun. Believe me, I've seen my share of gore and violence. But I mean, like, I went into an It movie thinking like, all right, it's going to be a killer clown. I didn't think I'd see like a regular dude beat a gay guy to death like that. I'm like, you prepare yourself for certain things. And I wasn't prepared to see like some town bully beat a gay guy to death. You like the song of the Gulf? What? You like the song of the Gulf? Adrian, I'm not sure what you mean. The Gulf Shams. More brutal than the torture scene, but what? Where he pulls out of the warden's teeth with a pair of pliers, an old boy. Yeah, see, like I said, there are many more brutal scenes. It's just, you see like another one, Old Boy. Right off the bat, you're watching Old Boy, you know you're going to see crazy shit. I didn't think I would see that. Does Bill have to save his wife in the Myles? That was what I was talking to my sister. My sister's never seen the miniseries. So on the way home, the whole thing I was saying was, where was his wife? Bill's wife is such a huge part of the miniseries and the book, from what I'm told. I don't, like I said, I know about the book, but I never read it, but I know a lot about it. But from what I'm told, the wife is a huge part of the miniseries and the book. They showed his wife for less than 5 seconds. I'm not kidding you. 3 hours movie, and his wife had 5 seconds airtime. I honestly can't even remember what his wife looked like. In the very beginning, when Mike Hanlon is making all the phone calls, his wife is on the Warner. Bill works for Warner Brothers, who made the movie. So Bill is a writer for Warner Brothers, and he's on the set of one of the movies he's like writing for, I guess. And there's another famous screenplay writer on the set with him. I cannot remember his name right now, but he was on Sopranos, very famous guy, older gentleman. But his wife shows up. He has like a 5-second conversation. And then from what I remember, you never see her again because he then leaves and she never goes to Derry. She never like goes to Derry to find him. There's no anything with his wife. His wife is non-existent. Yeah, like Myles, I know from the miniseries how important she was. Did you read the book, Myles? Because I'm not as familiar with the book, but from the miniseries point of view, that's how the miniseries ends. The miniseries literally ends based on Bill's wife. The entire, like the last 5 minutes of the miniseries is focused solely on Bill and his wife. And Bill's wife is cascaded through the whole series and is an important role for Bill to like grow, kind of. Like, I don't get it. So Myles, yeah, she was important in the book too. That was one thing I didn't get. These are my biggest, like I said, I love the movie. I thought it was great. I thought the ending could have used some work. The wife was non-existent, and the bully, Henry Bowers, was like, it started off really cool, and then they're like, dead. And I was like, oh, he literally got picked up in his old Thunderbird or Fire. I think he had a Firebird. Trans Am. He had an old Trans Am. He gets picked up in his old Trans Am by his dead friend, the guy with the long hair that died in the first movie. The dead friend literally comes as a zombified human, literally drives up to the mental asylum, and Henry Bowers murders everybody, breaks out, walks right out the front door, jumps in, and they go on like a killing rampage. And you're like, this is fucking awesome. We have crazy lunatic Henry Bowers with undead friend that died in the beginning. And then he goes and like dies. Like he goes and he stabs Eddie in the mouth, but Eddie like survives like through the cheek, through the cheek. Eddie pulls it out, stabs him in the chest. And then there's like a little battle between him and Mike later when he's already stabbed and injured and he dies. It's like, and I'm trying to see where I left off. More brutal than the scene in Watership Down, the animated movie for children, I'm aware, where a rabbit gets graphically gyrated to death. I haven't seen Watership Down in a while, but I'm pretty sure it was required reading when I was in school, and then we saw the movie. Regardless, I've definitely seen it. Maybe it was in film class I saw it, because I did take film class in college, so maybe I saw it there, but I've definitely seen Watership Down. I also read it recently. Stephen King uses secondary characters to push the choice of the loser to choice of the losers. Like you're saying, I'm Myles, I'm assuming you mean that you heard that about the movie, the new movie. And Henry Bowers was very important. Yeah, Henry Bowers was non-existent. Dead Patrick is the kid that rode the. I'm assuming Dead Patrick is the friend. More brutal than when I first watched Happy Tree Friends. Happy Tree Friends is brutal. God damn. Yes. Okay. So yeah, Dead Patrick's the name. But yeah, Henry Bowers, the wife in Henry Bowers. You like. That's why I keep saying it's a rushed. It's a very long rushed movie, because you have a 3-hour movie, but you focused nothing on the kid's past, or like there's nothing between 1989 and current day. There's not a single thing they show or talk about. Everything is like immediately flashbacks of the It scenario. Whenever there's a flashback, it's to chapter part 1. It's like it's to chapter 1. All the flashbacks are chapter 1. It's not like they're flashbacks that occurred later on. They're all events that happen while chapter 1 was going on, is what I'm saying. Like there's nothing that is a flashback after. All the, like, if there's a flashback we didn't see in chapter 1, it was just we didn't see that. It happened before they supposedly killed It. So it gets very confusing, because a lot of people might be thinking, what is happening, because like they already killed It, but the flashbacks are it's like basically going back to the beginning of chapter 1. There's like flashbacks where they're building a clubhouse, and you're like, wait, where was the clubhouse? I never saw that in part 1, but there was apparently a clubhouse in part 1 that they just never went to. Her, I think they mentioned it a few times, but you never see it or anything. So they skipped around a lot of stuff, but yet made it a 3-hour movie. Somebody, I don't know if this is true, maybe they meant both movies combined, but somebody told me that Anthony Muschietti said that there's a 6-hour cut of the movie. I'm assuming they mean part 1 and 2 together, which would make a lot more sense. But part 1 was only 2 hours, 15 minutes. This was 2 hours, 45 minutes. That's 5 hours. So even if it includes both movies, that's an hour of extra footage that is finished, he said, in the can, 6-hour cut. That's still a full hour if you combine the two. I'm thinking if he meant just this one, that's like 3 hours, but I doubt that could be possible. I doubt they filmed 3 hours that they cut out of this thing, but I could see how they could have, because there is a lot missing. That sucks. I guess what I meant by saying secondary characters is they're just as important and should have been watered down. Yeah, honestly, that's Myles. It's right on the nose. Basically, that I wasn't realizing, but I kind of said that because they focus so little on the characters that are the main characters that, yeah, I guess they are just as talked about and focused on as the secondaries. Like, I'm trying to think of like who else was like there's a kid in it. There's a little kid in it named Dean. Dean was the kid in the mirror maze. If you've seen the trailers, the kid in the mirror maze, that is Dean. I'm pretty sure Dean gets more like FaceTime than like Mike Hanlon or like one of the other losers. Like Dean, who is an unknown child, probably gets just as much or more FaceTime than like one or two of the losers. That's insane. But I mean, he does end up being like somewhat of an important role, but not as important as the main losers. Like, even if you could claim like, yeah, but Dean had like an arc. Yeah, but the losers are in it. Then there's like like in the beginning, the gay guys, when they, right before they get beat to death, practically, they're playing a game where I think they got to throw a ball at something. I'm trying to think of, oh no, it was the hose game where it's a clown. You got to squirt the hose into the clown's mouth. It blows up the balloon. The first one wins. So the gay guy wins. He wins the prize. And the little girl next to him is like, looks like she's going to cry. Adorable little girl. She's got a birthmark that I didn't realize right away. My sister pointed it out to me. She's got like a big birthmark on her cheek. And she's like, I guess, very self-conscious about it. She does probably have a lot of friends. She says later on that she doesn't have a lot of friends. Why do I know this? Because that little girl pops up like 3 or 4 times. The gay guy like feels bad, gives her the toy. You think you're never going to see her again. Then she pops up like later at like the library or something. Then she's at like a sporting event. Like there are secondary characters that like are thrown in, and it's almost like, all right, so you're telling me the gay guy got thrown off the bridge and almost died or beat to death, but did die by it. You're telling me that he ran into this little girl, and then that little girl accidentally ran into Ben at the library, and then she showed up at the sporting event where this other guy was. It almost becomes non-believable because these are characters, secondary characters that we don't know, or there's no relation to anybody. There's like zero relation except they live in Derry. So I was just like, I don't know. There was like moments like that where it kind of takes you out of it, but all those scenes were done well. It's like, even if it's like takes you, even if it's like extending disbelief, like the scene with the little girl, the scene with Dean, horrifying. If you want me to go into details, I will. But the scene with the little girl broke my heart. I honestly think the scene with the little girl might have been like one of the saddest ones. And Dean, brutal. But there are many horrific child deaths. It probably has the record for child deaths. There is one moment where they break like where the sewers are connected. It like they break a dam or something like that right after they destroyed it, or like right around the end when they destroy it in chapter 1. The dam breaks, and literally there are just children's bodies from the like, if you remember the end of chapter 1, all the children's bodies that were floating like descended. And I even said to my sister, we rewatched it today, this morning, and I was like, whatever happened to all the children's bodies? They all descended when they killed it, but we never knew. They show you what happened to the children's bodies. The water floods out the place where they were descending to. The dam floods out that place, busts through the sewers, and like hundreds of child bodies are just flowing out, like heads, arms, legs, torsos, like just like limbs and body parts, and like shredded remains of children, hundreds of bodies just graphically flowing out of this like sewer hole. It was quite horrifying. Like they did a lot of things in this that were like things I've not seen, things you don't see in theater. Let's put it that way. I've seen him on like I said, B-list horror or trauma or something like that. But like, I'm talking like graphic stuff. Like I looked at my sister, there were literally like a river of children's bodies floating out, and like arms, like arms with bones sticking out and stuff. And I'm like, again, like with the gay bashing thing in the beginning, I was like looking at it like they are pushing some limits with this, because this is like a highly advertised mainstream movie. I like it, but like, hey, I love that. I want this kind of stuff. Like I want them to push the limits. I want Hollywood to like be unique and do different things. I don't want to see the same cookie cutter stuff all the time. But it gets violent, guys. I heard about the Dean kid. Yeah, Dean. I mean, this is a spoiler talk, guys. Dean does not see a happy fate. You'd think, because like I thought, because of the trailer, they're basically making Dean out to be the Georgie of the adult Bill's life. Like you see adult Bill, you see Dean, who he's like envisioning as Georgie. Like Dean runs into the maze and thinks nothing of anything because he's a kid and who believes in killer clowns. And it fucking destroys him. And you're thinking, there's no way they'll let Bill fail twice. He already failed getting his own brother, Georgie. This is his chance to redeem himself. He's going to save Dean, right? No, he does not save Dean. Ding Dong has now etched into my memory, but not in a bad way. Man, I can't believe Jolene is half dolphin. Like father, like son, except I don't know what you guys are talking about. Also, FF beats. My God. And Andy M has a way of making things very creepy and unsettling. Yeah, he does. He does a fantastic job of that. There is like all of that is done perfectly. It is just like certain choices they made. Like the things they did were great, but I just don't understand why they chose those things over other things. That's basically my argument. But like, I can't complain with what they did. Like when they kill certain people, I'm like, that looked friggin' awesome. But why did you do that? You could have did it this way and made it like cooler, I guess. At least in my mind, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But like I said, they didn't, I wasn't like, look what you did. You ruined the movie. I was like, that was awesome, but it's a much different take than I would have done. It's very weird to spell Trish. The Walking Dead video game kills 3 children by the second game, 6 on screen by the third game. Actually killed a whole city and 9 by the. Oh, that's right. When they did slaughter all those kids in that one season, in the actual show, when Michonne like friggin' slaughtered them. Did you watch Mama? Yeah, I did see Mama, and I remember it. I honestly, it's a long time ago in my mind, at least, but I do remember liking it. I remember it being like unappreciated and like very in and out of the theaters, but I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters, and I'm almost positive I've seen it at least once or twice after that. I know that is Andy Muschietti, right? I figured that's why you're saying it. I'm pretty sure that's Andy Muschietti. But yeah, no, Mama was good. It's like you said before, it's unsettling. That's why I say I wouldn't even really call it jump scares, and I wouldn't call it like gory or horrifying. Like it's just very unsettling. Like the imaging, like the Mama had, I remember at the end, they like went up to like the end of a cliff or something, just like the cinematography, like the shadowing and the clouds and like the moon and the lighting, like just the whole way he films it. Like they could not speak a word. And you're just like, that is friggin' terrifying. I think that's what you mean, Myles, but that's what I'm getting out of it. More brutal than Arthur the Aardvark punching his sitter DW. When you call DW. When I hear DW, I think of Darkwing Duck. Yes, sir. Yep, Myles, we're on the same page. I see I had to like sit on it for a couple seconds, but then I envisioned when isn't it like the mama brings like the 2 little kids up to the peak and there's like a babysitter or a girl. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure that I'm on the right track. I retract my previous statement. Speedwagon best. Yes, it was. What's up? Kentra Productions. What's up? Oh, that's right. She has to. That's right. Gotcha. There was 2 kids though, right? Oh, they're both girls. I thought one was a boy, one was a girl. And the other state. Oh, that's right. And she takes him away. See, I said I knew, but I didn't until I just heard that. In my head, I envisioned like part of it. But yes, you're right. That was now I want to watch it. Now, like that's some creepy stuff. Sophie's Choice of Horror. Yeah, it was a Sophie's Choice. You're right. The funny thing is, I've seen Sophie's Choice and Mama, and I never made that connection. But it is totally like a Sophie's Choice type thing, but like an undead Sophie's Choice. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the Paul Bunyan scene was crazy. The old lady scene was great. I'm trying to think of the other, like there was definitely other scenes. There was like crazy stuff. All like, even though it was long, I feel like they broke up the crazy scenes pretty well. Like every 10 or 15 minutes, there was like a crazy like jump or brutalness or something like that. Anyway, should I watch the It films? I would recommend them. I'm a horror fan. I will definitely rewatch these as a couple. Like when this comes out on Blu-ray, I will every Halloween probably watch these. They're great, like background. Like if you have a bunch of friends over on like a Halloween or a party or something like that, these are great back to back. You could have like a 5-hour like straight run through of an entire like anthology of greatness. Like even like I said, like it isn't the greatest choices, but I'm okay with them all, and it was still a great film. I still think Chapter 1 was better. Chapter 2 was close. It wasn't. I still think Chapter 1 was better though. But I'm not like fuck Chapter 2. Chapter 1 is the way to go. Don't have to see this. Like I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a horror fan. I will definitely rewatch these as a couple. Oh my God, yes, Myles. There was a definite, I can't, that was one of the things I couldn't think of. I'm shocked because we talked about it the whole car ride home. There is a definite shout out to John Carpenter's The Thing. If you guys want me to chat about it, I will. And I'm assuming Myles will, unless Myles already heard about it. How did Pennywise die? I'll get back to you in a second, Contra, because that kind of has something to do with it. All right, I'll just jump into it real quick. The Thing is my favorite movie of all time. All right, Myles, in case your buddy didn't fill you in on specifics, basically what happens is if you've watched the miniseries, Stanley kills himself in the miniseries. Myles, maybe you could help me with this. Does Stanley kill himself like that in the book? I'm not sure about that. But Stanley in the miniseries slices his wrist in the bathtub, kills himself. In the very beginning of this movie, so Stanley does the same thing in the book. Thank you, Myles. I'm going to keep asking you questions based on the book. I appreciate your help, sir. But in this movie, it's not like the miniseries, clearly, because it's already started different. But basically what happens is Mike Hanlon, who is the black kid, grown up, calls everybody, and he calls one by one. Boom, boom, boom. We got to come back to Derry. Stanley gets the phone call, and he literally goes upstairs and cuts his wrist. Boom, dead. End of story. There's no like anything about it. He like even in the miniseries, he like has the phone call. Then there's like a huge like flashback where they show Stanley and this and that. There's probably like a good 20 minutes. And then chapter 1 of the miniseries ends with Stanley slicing his wrist. And then you see on the bathroom wall, it's spelled out it. And that's how chapter 1 ended, or the miniseries ended. Like the halfway point of the miniseries ended on a huge cliffhanger type thing. Like Stanley friggin' killed himself, and it is written in blood out of Stanley's blood. Bum, bum, bum. In this, he gets a phone call. He's like, Stan, you got to come back. And Stanley's like, I'm out. Dead. That's basically Stan for you. There's a couple more flashbacks of Stan, but that's basically Stanley for you. So the reason I'm telling you that is because at the end of the movie, they are obviously Stanley is brought up several times when they go to dinner at the Chinese restaurant. They're like, where's Stanley? Blah, 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 blah. He's brought up many times. But at the very end, does it show the blood written on the wall? No, Myles, it does not. And I was pissed off. They didn't show anything. You literally see Stanley like this. I'm not even exaggerating. It's just him laying like this and his hands like this. And this one's like this on the tub and blood is running down. They then show him like he's dead. They don't show anything. There's nothing on the wall. You just see Stanley like this, and then it drips the blood, and then the blood is slowly dripping, and then you see it. His blood hit Jessica Chastain on the face, and that's basically what segues us into Mike Hanlon calling Jessica Chastain, because she is abruptly woken up by the blood hitting her cheek, but then it's not there because it's fake. And then the phone rings and it's Mike Hanlon, hence connecting the children as adults. But they don't show the blood. I thought that was great, right, Myles? In the miniseries, that is like I always remembered that as a child. Like I was like 10 years old when this came out, probably even younger, probably like 8 years old. And I always remembered that image of the guy laying in the bathtub dead and it written in blood on the wall. Nope. And Stanley does look like the Stanley from chapter 1 of the original, but like he was just like very like it almost like he got weaker. Like in chapter 1, Stanley was by far the weakest in chapter 1, and they intentionally expressed that. In this, he has gone to like another level. Like when he gets the phone call, he's one of the only ones that remembers too. Like everyone else is like, I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. Stanley's like, it's back, isn't it? You want us to come back, don't you? Like before Mike even says anything, he sees it on the caller ID and he's like, it's back. You want me to come? Slice my wrist, dead. Everyone else is like, I don't remember. But then it actually goes back to that at the very end of the movie. They all kill it. It dies. I'll get into that in a second, but it dies. They all go their separate ways. And then I think Mike Hanlon calls Bill and he goes, yo, did you get a letter in the mail? And Bill's like, I didn't look. And he looks in his mail and there's a letter from Stan Uris's wife. And I don't know, Myles, maybe you could tell me if this is in the book because it wasn't in the miniseries, but they get a letter from Stan Uris's wife and they all each have their own letter. And it's basically Stan saying, hey guys, if you're reading this, then you won. And the reason I killed myself is because if I didn't, you wouldn't have won. I had to kill myself in order for you guys to be strong enough to beat it, because you're as strong as your weakest link and I'm your weakest link. So I killed myself. And that is why you won. He basically almost saying like suicide worked. Like, I heard a lot of people saying this. Now, I don't care. I'm not buying, I'm not freaking out about it, but I've heard a lot of people say, like, this is praising suicide. Like, Stan is like, guys, I'm weak and couldn't provide any help. So how did I help you? By murdering myself, because then you guys now succeeded because I killed myself. You're welcome. It was basically like Stan saying, you're welcome. Yeah, Myles, I've never like see Myles, I've heard a lot about the book. I've never read it, but I've never heard anyone say that aspect of it. So at the end of the movie, Stan is basically like glorifying suicide, saying that he's the reason. Now, he's not flat out saying like you're welcome. If it wasn't for me, you'd all be dead. But it kind of sounded like that because he's like, without me, you wouldn't be there right now. I don't know. It just to me, it sounded like totally glorifying suicide. And like I said, I'm not like one of those people that like shoves things down your throat. Like that's horrible. Like, I don't, whatever. It's just, I thought it was a little risque, but I already saw many critics and like reviewers and stuff, like kind of throwing a shit fit about it. They were, I mean, a lot of people were praising the gay bashing, believe it or not. I thought when I saw the gay bashing in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, this is like violent. This is horrible. But then I saw a lot of critics and stuff, and they were like, yeah, no, we're cool with it because it actually brings it to the face, like it's bringing it to the public eye. Like you're it's like in your face, like you go see it, you're gonna see this, you're gonna have feels about this, you're gonna like be like cringing, like holy crap, this is horrible, and shit like that happens. So like it's in your face kind of stuff. Thanks, Myles, appreciate it. Awesome chat, thank you very much, Myles. But yeah, but yeah, like as far as the Stanley thing, so anyway, totally got caught off track because of this long 3-hour movie, Myles. But back to Stan. So that was at the very end, but in the middle, or not the middle, like right at the third act, it goes back to the refrigerator scene from chapter 1. You guys remember the refrigerator scene? If you saw chapter 1, you definitely know what I'm talking about. When for like Pennywise friggin' wrangled out of the closet, I mean the refrigerator was all mangled up and kind of flipped out of it. They go back into the house. They relive a lot of similar scenarios, like the scary, not scary, blah, 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 like that stuff. Remember like the not scary, and they open up and the girl had no torso, no legs. They open the other door and the legs run at them instead of the torso. So they do like little clever shout outs to the original, but I'll get right to it after this, Kentra. But Stanley dies in the beginning. So now it shows young Stanley. The fridge opens up, and now instead of mangled Pennywise, it's mangled Stanley, young Stanley, little boy Stanley. His head then starts talking to them, kind of like the miniseries where the head was in Stan's older head was in the fridge. Now it's young Stan's head, but it's attached to his full body, mangled in the fridge. So Stanley starts talking and he's like, you killed me, Bill. It's your fault this happened. I told you, Bill. And he's like bitching. And then his head snaps off at the neck, rolls across the floor, and spider legs jet out, and it literally becomes the spider head from the Thing. Like almost carbon copy identical, like slight differences. I am a big fan of the Thing too, Myles, and there were slight differences you can notice if you're a fan. But to the common fan, everyday average Joe that's seen one or the other would never tell the difference. It is literally the spider head from the Thing, and grows teeth and violently starts attacking everybody, mainly Richie Tozer. It like jumps in Richie Tozer's face. I thought for a second it killed him. I thought the face killed him because he's holding it and it is a fucking big head spider. It is, the head's this big, a human head, and then it's got to be like this friggin' big. And he's literally holding it back like this for like a solid minute or two. And I'm like, they're going to pull that thing back and Richie Tozer's face is going to be gone. Kind of like Stan in the first one when the creepy painting lady bit young Stanley's face, and you thought he was dead, and then it unlatched and he was just bite marks. I thought Richie was gonna get like freaking dead. No, like Myles, I highly recommend it in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX, highly recommend it. Even my little nitpicks about it, the special effects of the CGI are incredible. Like the funny thing is the de-aging is probably the worst of the CGI, and you don't even mind it because the de-aging only happens when they're talking. It's not like there's a huge battle going on and they're all de-aged kids. Like most of the fighting is when they're adults, and the other stuff involves Pennywise and stuff. So very much should be seen in IMAX. But I mean, now that's basically how Stanley comes back. So Stanley's head turns into the thing, the thing, and then they, wrestle around with it. I don't think no one dies or anything. Richie gets a little fucked up by it, and then that's another scene where Eddie cowards. That was the other scene. So Eddie cowered down with his mom, left his mom for dead to get raped, basically. And then Richie Tozer was getting attacked by the Stanley Spiderhead, and Eddie is literally like 2 feet away with a knife. Or no, the knife fell, but the knife's like on the floor next to him. So Eddie could literally bend over, pick up the knife, and just go, got, and kill the head. No, he doesn't. He stands there. Bill barely gets there in time and saves Richie, or Richie would have been dead. So Bill had to save. And then when they're done, Bill literally gets in like Eddie's face. He's like, dude, are you fucking serious? Like, your best fucking friend was right there about to die. You didn't even fucking help him. So I think that's why at the end, he sacrificed himself. So now I'll get to the end, Kentra. I'm going to get to it right now. So Pennywise then, so now everyone has gotten back. Everyone is there. No one has died except Stanley. I know that in the miniseries, Mike Hanlon gets attacked by Henry Bowers and is then hospitalized, and he never goes into the sewers. That doesn't happen. Eddie gets attacked by Henry Bowers and gets stabbed in the cheek, but that's it. He just gets like a cut through his mouth, and he's completely fine otherwise. So they all make it successfully to the sewers except Stanley, who died in the beginning. So now they do all this shit. They track down Pennywise. He now gets surrounded. They find out it was aliens. Pennywise is an alien from outer space. He has landed here billions, B with a B, billions of years ago. They landed here when the Native Americans found him, and they made some ritual that supposedly killed Pennywise, or whatever, the alien. And every 27 years, the cycle has to be continued or something. Mike Hanlon has this artifact that is they all have to go around the whole movie. They each have their own artifact. They got to put it in this Native American totem type thing and burn it at the ground zero point of the meteor landing where it was. So they all do this. It's the whole movie. They all get their artifacts. He now sets the thing in the middle. They don't see it or Pennywise or anybody anywhere. There's just a giant crater in the way down deep in Derry, and it is like meteorite type shit everywhere. And there's where you put the friggin' thing. So they all throw their artifacts in, and Mike is like, we all got to hold hands and we got to say this Native American prayer. So they all start doing their thing, and the deadlights come down and all this shit starts happening. And you're assuming that it's working, and the deadlights literally come down and fly into the totem, and Mike jumps on top and seals the totem. And you're like, was that it? Is that that's it? They beat it? That was fucking miserable. No, that's not it. Mike lied, everybody. The Indian totem was real in the sense that the Native Americans believed it, but they tried it and they all died. So Mike Hanlon basically lied to all his friends. None of it was real. The totem, even though it was a Native American artifact that they tried to kill it with, they failed and it didn't work. So Mike just hoped it would work and had them all go on these journeys to get their artifacts. I don't know if that happens in the book, Myles, but that's what happened in this. And they all throw their artifacts in, and now it jumps out, manifests into a gigantic clown. He is 20 feet high, maybe bigger, but Pennywise, 20-foot high Pennywise. And now he's just looking down on them, and he is massive. And now he starts kind of moving around, and there's rocks blocking him, like shards of rocks from the meteor blast jetted out. So there's kind of a wall, and he's kind of moving around like this, very stealthily. And then you realize he is not Pennywise the clown. He is Pennywise head and upper body. He stands up, and he is a not exaggerating 50-foot tall gigantic spider. with Pennywise's upper body. So he is and that sounds ridiculous, but it actually looked pretty cool. The CGI was on point. It looked like the spider effects were very cool. The way the spider moved and stuff like that, very cool, very creepy. And they kept like from here up was Pennywise, but gigantic Pennywise. And he had no arms because everything's legs now. So he just has like a Pennywise upper body. Fucking, it sounds crazy, but it looked pretty cool. But it was 50 feet tall. Put it this way, it looked much better than the miniseries. But he then he's like, did you guys think that little fucking totem would kill me? I've been around for billions of years, and you thought that stupid fucking totem would kill me? So now he just starts rampaging, chasing them all over. They all kind of go their separate ways, and now he puts them into like mental situations where like Beverly's trapped in the bathroom she was when she was a little girl, and she's drowning. She's locked in the stall and it's filling up with blood to the point where she's like either going to drown or like wish her way out of it or something. Then Ben is being buried alive. Bill is being confronted by Georgie. Richie, I don't know. I forget all of them, but they're like, I don't know. I don't remember everybody right now. If I thought about it, I probably do. I forget what the hell Richie was doing, but they, all I know is they each got thrown into their own thing. Then they all break out of it very quickly, mind you. Like this goes on for like 5 minutes. They're like, boom, Richie's out. Boom, Bill's out. Boom, Beverly's out. Like, that's why I don't really remember, because they didn't focus a lot. The biggest focus was on Ben and Beverly, and they broke out. Ben was being buried alive. Beverly was being drowned in blood. They're almost out of like air and about to die. And then Ben shouts out, I love you. And Beverly's like, January embers. And they bust out and they're like saved. So that's basically how Ben and Beverly survive. But then everyone lives, everyone makes it out of their psychological traumas, and they all get back. Richie runs out. I've said this before, but for those of you who weren't here before, this is how it dies, or Pennywise, or whoever you want to call him. This is how he dies. Everyone is safe. They all run out, and Pennywise has got them like dead to rights. Richie Tozer, I forget why, but he's really pissed off about something. Probably the fact that they're being traumatized. Runs out and he's like, fuck you, clown, fuck you. And he immediately just pauses. The deadlights have now opened up. The spider turns into this giant mouth that looks like the mouth from Beetlejuice. When Alec Baldwin goes like this, that's what it reminds me of. You tell me otherwise when you see this, but it looks like when Alec Baldwin goes like that. And now you find out that it goes straight through the back of his head. When you see the deadlights are actually separate. Like, I don't know if you want to call them entities or what, but they're like balls of light, 3 of them that just kind of rotate around. And when you're seeing the deadlights, I don't know if this is from the book, not, but because I mean, it wasn't from the miniseries, but when you see the deadlights, it's actually shining through the back of his head. There is a hole, and the mouth is open so big that it's literally basically reflecting off all the teeth and shit in his mouth and forming the deadlights. So that was actually pretty clever, I thought. The way it looked, at least, everything looked cool. I don't know if it was in the book, definitely wasn't in the miniseries, but the deadlights shine through the back of his head, and he basically is just like going like this and has a giant friggin' deadlight cone. So he catches Richie Tozer immediately, and it's very cool. The acting by Bill Hader is phenomenal. Like, he gets nailed. I'm getting up to show you. He gets nailed. Like, he's like, fuck you. And he immediately just goes, and he's dangling like a marionette. But the way his arms and his legs fall, he literally looks like a puppet in like no strings or something like that. Like, literally just dangling. And then he's rising up. And you basically, it looks as if Richie Tozer is going to die. And it seems that it's inevitable. Eddie runs out, and now probably feeling like a coward because he backed out on his mom, almost let Richie die earlier. He must feel guilty. He comes running out with the spiked thing that Beverly stabbed Pennywise with in the first film, runs out, and he's like, if I believe this is real, it's real. And he throws it like a harpoon through the mouth and through the deadlights. He hits the deadlights, blows everything up. Pennywise, 50-foot giant spider Pennywise, falls onto one of the giant shards, and a giant like spiked rock, meteorite, stalactite, whatever you want to call it, goes through his chest, and it's like boom, and he's got this giant hole like this big, stalactite through the chest. So now he's laying there, and he's like and he's like moaning and stuff, but he's not dead. Yeah, at least everyone else knows, but the kids seem to like leave him alone, like, all right, let him lay there. So Eddie runs over to Richie, who is now out of the deadlights. He's fallen, but he's like totally spaced out because he was just trapped in the deadlights about to get eaten. So he's like, what the hell happened? He's totally out of it. Eddie's like, dude, I did it. I forgot. Blip. Spider leg through the chest, this friggin' big hole in Eddie's chest. Eddie gets whipped across the entire cave into the wall, smashes into the rocks, and falls to the ground. Eddie is basically dead. They run over to Eddie. Richie runs over. He's crying. Everyone's crying. It's very emotional. It was emotional. Done very well. I'm saying it with laughter and laughter. I mean, with smiles and laughter, but it was very emotional. It was sad. But like Eddie, giant hole through the chest, thrown across the room, splatter, but he's still alive and he's bleeding out of his mouth. And Richie is very emotional. Richie is the most emotional, grabbing him, hugging him, like blah, 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 blah. Everyone now is united. They're all around each other. And Eddie's about to die. And Eddie's like, Richie, come here. I got to tell you something. I thought he was going to say, I'm gay or I love you or something like that. He goes, I fucked your mom, and then dies, which was kind of funny, honestly, the way it happened, because you're expecting the last words of Eddie. You're thinking like, what is he going to say? And I know in the miniseries, Eddie was like, they hinted that Eddie was gay in the miniseries, but they never said it. They have lots of subtle like things. There is nothing in this that hinted anything about being gay, but like him and Richie had a very like tight knit relationship. So I thought like maybe they're going to like flip us real quick at the end. And like Eddie's going to be like, I love you to Richie or something. But no, he ends up saying, I fucked your mother, and Eddie dies. Eddie dies. So then Pennywise rises back up, meaner than ever, pissed as all shit. He is like, fuck all of you. You're about to fucking die. And then they're basically surrounded and they're about to get killed. And Mike, I think it's Mike Hanlon, says it first. He's like, guys, this isn't real. We've known this since we were kids. This isn't real. Like, all we got to do is believe it. So Pennywise is making the death strike with his friggin' spider leg spear about to kill them. And it literally goes this close to Ben. Ching. And the belief of him not being real stops it dead in its tracks. And Pennywise, over the course of like a minute or two, shrivels down to, I'm not kidding you, a pancake man. I'm not even exaggerating. He is literally as flat as my palm on the ground and looks like a pancake, shriveled up pancake with eyes and a nose. And he's literally flattened to the ground like a pancake. And he's wiggling and he's got like a squeaky little voice. And he's going like, please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. And they literally reach down and pull out his little pancake heart and squish it. And he dies. And I'm not even exaggerating. If you guys just got to the chat, I'll read through all your comments. I just wanted to get through that because there's a lot to say. But I'm not kidding you. He shrinks down through the power of belief and nothing else. Through the power of belief, he shrank down to a pancake size. I'm not exaggerating. The width of my palm. He was that small, like this big, like a little Pennywise clown this big, as flat as my palm. And they ripped his little Pennywise heart out. But that's how Pennywise died. So basically Pennywise, they basically squished his heart. Now the entire caverns are collapsing. Like the whole, they're deep down now because they went down the well. Then they found like a hole in the earth. They went down the hole in the earth. They're in all these caverns and stuff. Now it all starts collapsing. Like it's crumbling down. Oh, they're talking about JoJo. You guys are still talking about JoJo. Get in the conversation, guys. So they basically, everything's collapsing. They have to like really fast make their way to the top. Richie won't leave Eddie's body. Richie is like, we're not leaving him. We're not leaving him. Like we got to take him with us. And he's like adamant about it. But they're like, Richie, there is no way we're carrying a body out of here. And Richie's like, no, he's alive. We could fix him. Like we could help him. I was like, for a second, I was like, is there some weird supernatural shit about to happen? Like, is Bill going to be like an alien too? Because Bill like kind of acted weird. He was phenomenal in it. Best actor in the whole movie. But like, very odd. So I was like, is he going to be a fucking alien? Is it going to be like one of those things where like he was the good version of the It? Like almost like Dreamcatcher, like Stephen King did that in Dreamcatcher. I forgot it was even Stephen King. But like at the end, when Duddits turns into the giant thing, and the whole time the handicap kid was the superhuman alien that could save the world thing. Like I was like, oh my God, are we going out like off the deep end here? But no, it was real. Like basically Richie just was really emotional and didn't want to leave Eddie's body behind. So they had to leave his body behind. They all run away. They barely make it away. They get it like literally like every time they exit a room, that room is collapsed on. So it's like out of the caverns, boom, caverns collapse. Out of the tunnel, boom, tunnel collapses. Like running out of the sewer, and you see like the smoke, typical like action movie, like the explosions following them, and they barely make it out. And now they're all there, and they're basically like they did it. They won. So they're like to celebrate, they make their way to the cliff they dove off of in the chapter 1. But now kids must have been doing it forever. Maybe there was an accident at one time or something. It's all fenced off. There's like signs everywhere that say no jumping, no diving, stuff like that, because it is today's world where everything is like signs and everyone's more careful than back in the 80s when you could like jump off a friggin' 10-foot mountain. But well, it's not much of a mountain if it's 10 foot. But anyway, they jump the fence. It's a railing. It's not really a fence. It's like a railing thing. They jump the railing, and Beverly goes first again. Like, I didn't even realize till I just said it now, but Beverly definitely goes first, basically like in the chapter 1 where she beats all the guys to it. They all jump off, and now they're all like swimming and like washing the filth off them. And everyone's kind of like, everyone's sad. Eddie's dead, but they're like, Eddie's dead and Stan's dead, but they already knew Stan was dead for a while now. But they're all kind of like cracking little jokes, kind of like, break the ice or make light of the situation. And there's nothing to be heard from Richie. So you're thinking like, if anyone's going to say a one-liner, it's going to be Richie. So they're all kind of like looking around, and even you're thinking it as an audience member, like, where's Richie's quick little one-liner? You look over and Richie is hysterically crying. I actually thought he was laughing. I thought he was like so like caught up in the moment that he was hysterically laughing, but no, he's like this, and he's like hysterically crying in the water. And like everyone comes over to him, and they're all like hugging him, and they're like, Richie, it's all right. And like you could tell it's Eddie. Like Eddie is really, it's like really getting to him. So like you're still kind of in the dark. Now I understood at this point, based on other little things, I understood what was going on at this point, but basically they all go their separate ways. And like one of the last scenes you see is Richie go over to the bridge where Ben was like cut with the H in his stomach, and Richie carves into the bridge R+E. And you find out Richie was gay the whole time. Richie was gay, and he was in love with Eddie, and that's why he was so upset. Like you're thinking it's because they're friends, and that maybe Richie just like really got emotional. Maybe he like everything just came to a head, and he got really emotional, and it is what it is, and he just freaked out. But no, it was that because he ends up he was in love with Eddie the whole time. And now if you go back and look at like chapter 1, you notice that Richie and Eddie are always together. Richie is always busting on Eddie the most. He's always like, I fucked your mom. I fucked your mom. And now looking back, I think that the reason Eddie said like, hey, Richie, I got to tell you something. Like, I fucked your mother. I think that was his way of being like, I love you too. Or like, not that Eddie was gay, but like, I understand like that you're gay and that you haven't told anybody. But like, I think Eddie knew it. I think Eddie was like, I know you're gay and you haven't said a word to any of us. So my way of telling you before I die that we're cool with it, like it's fine that you're gay, is by me saying I fucked your mom. But like, I thought it was great. That might sound weird. And I guess if you don't look at it as deep as I do, it might sound even weirder. But I feel like some people might not understand that, or maybe I'm misinterpreting it. All I know is I think Eddie knew Richie was gay, but Eddie wasn't gay. So Eddie was like, I don't know how to deal with this, because Eddie was a coward his whole life. So he's thinking like, what am I going to do? Go to Richie and not to mention, they didn't communicate for 27 years. They didn't speak to each other. When they got the call from Mike Hanlon, none of them even remembered except Stanley, and he killed himself. So it wasn't like he had a lot of opportunities, but I have a feeling Eddie knew, and Eddie was like in his own way saying like, I know you're gay. Like, friggin', it's cool. Like, be okay with that with yourself and let everyone know and be cool with it. So at the end, I think that was his way of being out in the open. Like, he's coming out about it, like R plus E. Like, I loved Eddie. Like, that's like his starting point, kind of like everyone has their own way. I don't know. I never had to come out of the closet, so I don't know how one does it or if anyone does do it. But that seemed to me like that was like his starting point. Like, I'm going to start here and we're going to see where it goes. So I'm willing to bet he told everybody eventually, and it is what it is. But my guess is that, I mean, my thought is that it was done pretty well. I thought it was handled pretty well, but thanks, Kentra Productions. I appreciate it. I hope you subscribed and you liked, and I will talk to you later, sir. Or I don't know if you're a guy or a girl. It's good to see you. I'm going to have to go back through the comments now. If anyone, I had so many questions, but yeah, basically, I'm just here listening to all these spoilers. I don't know if the films are any good. Seedless, I definitely see them. They're not like I mean, It Chapter 1 and 2, I definitely think are a great Halloween type watch, like around October, stuff like that. The miniseries is cheesy 80s goodness. I love it, but it's not for everyone. I'm just running back through the comments real quick. I was talking so long. I don't know what half of these people said. I don't even know if half of them are still here. The Ritual of Chud is what it's called. All right. That was the Native American ritual. I'm assuming, because I didn't talk about anything else. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, he's a spider again. That's what killed him in the original. Aiden. Is that Hidalgo? That's great. I love Hidalgo. Aiden Hidalgo. Is that your name, or is that based off the movie Hidalgo? Because that is an awesome name if that is real. But what killed him in the original? Him getting his heart ripped out? Because he did get his heart ripped out in the original, but it was as a spider. This was as a pancake man. I've never seen it as a pancake man getting his heart ripped out until today. Like, have any of you in the chat actually seen it, or you're all just like chatting and wondering what happened? I'm hoping someone else has seen it so they could like correct me or like help me with things in case I'm missing stuff. But I don't think anyone has seen it. But yeah, he literally turns into a pancake man, guys. Stephen King has the kids get all naked. Myles said that. I know that they have the orgy at the end of, like, I don't know when that happens. I don't actually, but in the book, I know they have like a friggin' orgy with Beverly in the book. That is a real thing too, but that doesn't happen in the movie. That was a book thing. I remember seeing an interview with Stephen King where he said, I was on a lot of drugs and it was the 70s and times were different. So apparently, if you were raised in the 70s and you did a lot of drugs, child pornography was okay. I'm making a joke of it, but his exact explanation was that he needed a quick way to explain to people that the kids had to become adults to beat Pennywise, that the passageway to adulthood was the way to conquer it, because by becoming an adult, you stop believing in silly, childish things. So his thought was that the quickest way to have us believe that children became adults was they all fuck each other. And I'm not even kidding. That was a real thing. I saw that in an interview with Stephen King. Maybe Myles could agree with me there. I don't know if anyone else has seen that, but Myles seems like he knows it's Stephen King. And I have seen that interview where Stephen King literally said, in so many words, I'm not quoting it exactly, but in so many words, it was a passageway to adulthood. I mean, a passageway to adulthood. Yes, so maybe Myles didn't even hear that before. But basically, Stephen King's interpretation of sex is that sex makes you an adult, basically. Because by all them having sex, they stopped believing in it. Maybe Beverly was that good in bed that they all were like immediately like, fuck clowns, we like women. But it wouldn't have worked, because in this theory, in that old one, Eddie was gay, and in this one, Richie's gay. So Wouldn't that just confuse them a lot more? Like if Eddie, I mean, like in this scenario, if Richie slept with Beverly as a kid, he'd probably be even more confused now. It wouldn't be like he'd have an epiphany and be like, I am an adult. He would be like, what is that? I don't want anything to do with that. I'm so confused. Like, I don't know. That just sounds crazy. But I mean, I think that was Stephen King trying to gracefully exit out of that scenario. When people ask that question, what do you say? Why did you have a bunch of kids have sex at the end of your book? Drugs and adulthood. That is indeed my last name. Well, good for you, sir. That is a great last name. I love the movie Hidalgo. It's the painted horse. What's his name? Is not it? Viggo Mortensen. It's not the greatest movie, but I love it. I wonder what Jessica Chastain thought. Jessica Chastain was very good, but they definitely, like I said, she was probably next to Bill Hader as far as camera time, but she was phenomenal. I love Jessica Chastain. Every time I see Jessica Chastain in a movie, I feel like I'm into redheads. Like I'll see her and I'll be like, I was never into redheads, but you're just perfect in everything. Not only beautiful, but her acting, like everything about her. Like she seemed like I saw Molly's Game. I feel like she'd be like cool to just hang out with, like play poker with. Like I would marry Jessica Chastain tomorrow. She's great. She can do no wrong. I sometimes confuse her with Bryce Dallas Howard though. They look, I don't know. Jessica Chastain is older, maybe, I don't know by how much, maybe slightly, maybe she's not even, but Jessica Chastain I think is older and is like more noticeably facial features, I guess, like more noticeable in the face, but they look so similar to me, Bryce Dallas Howard and Jessica Chastain. But phenomenal actress, probably the second best next to Bill Hader. And that's only probably because she had less camera time. Like Bill Hader had so much camera time and every moment was great. It wasn't like, oh my God, they're showing him too. Like I wanted to see him. People were walking out of the theater saying I would watch a movie with just like Richie Tozier, like a comedy movie, like have like a spinoff with Bill Hader as Richie Tozier. Cause he was a stand-up comedian in this movie. He literally is a super famous stand-up comedian, like sell out crowds at like the Madison Square Gardens kind of thing. So like super famous comedian. So people were like, I would totally watch Richie Tozier. Like it was great. His acting, like not just the jokes though, like the emotions when Eddie died, the like him coming out as like a gay man at the end and stuff, like everything, like you could see it was believable. Like the way, like after he carves it in the thing, like R+E, he like turns around and he's kind of like looking up at the sky. Like you could see, like he's realizing like this is the beginning of this. Like not only do we just kill a killer clown from billions of years ago, but I am horrified because I just came out of the closet. Like that's basically what it looks like. It looks like he's more scared about dealing with being openly gay than the fact that he just murdered a killer clown. But I mean, I get it. She describes how each of them do she really? Can you believe? Is that right? Is that real? I should keep reading because Myles wrote stuff. I wonder what Jessica Chastain thought. Was there any mention of it being female and or eggs about to never, Kyle. Kyle Michael. I believe Kyle, I think me and you commented a couple days ago. But if not, Kyle Michael, no, there is zero mention of eggs or gender. It is simply stated that it came from outer space billions with a B, not millions, billions of years ago. It came from outer space, crashed like a meteor into Derry, went deep underground. Native Americans tried to kill him, but failed. And now we're where we are now in this movie. So no, there was never mentions of gender, never mentions of eggs, never mentions of anything. And what was I going to say? It was basically just every 27 years he needs to feed. And that's like his thing. But it never explains why. It never explains if there's others like him or anything like that. And he's been there billions. They say it multiple times. It isn't one time. It isn't like I randomly just caught that they said billions at least 3, maybe 4 times throughout the course of the movie. It literally says, "Hey, Doma." It literally says billions of years ago. So I don't know. And Native American warriors didn't kill them. They failed, but the kids did. But I'm not going to even mock that because the reasoning behind it makes sense. Native Americans wouldn't think, well, all we got to do is not believe in this thing and it's gone. Because that's basically what the kids did. They were just stood there like, you aren't a real spider. And then the claw couldn't kill them. It literally hit an invisible force field. So Native Americans were strong warriors, but I'm pretty sure when confronted with a 50-foot spider, they wouldn't be like, guys, just stand still and pretend it's not there and we'll be good. So I get it. And Myles, they definitely gave, which didn't make sense to me. They definitely gave James McAvoy the least amount of time out of the headliners. Like out of, I would say Bill Hader, Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, not counting Pennywise, aka Skarsgård, but the 3 kids were James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader. James McAvoy's probably, I don't know. Would you guys, is it debatable that James McAvoy probably makes the most money out of them? I would say James McAvoy probably makes the most money out of them because he's Professor X. He had the Split franchise. He's been in many things, and the dude's a great actor. So I would have to say that he's probably the most successful out of the 3 of them. I'm not saying he's the best actor. I'm saying financially and like just like his back, like his resume, I would say that McAvoy's probably better. He got the least out of the 3. What happens to the body of the girl who dies under the bleachers? They don't show. Appreciate your play. You got it, Kyle. Kyle, are you the one I was talking to earlier? Because your name looks really familiar. If it not, I was talking to someone else named Kyle. I think it was the Wire stuff. Just curious. It could be a different Kyle, but I think it was you. Back to Aiden Hidalgo. Great name again. The girl under the bleachers. I don't think they show her body. Basically what happens is it's really sad. It was someone else. Oh, my bad, dude. Sorry, I keep burping. I just literally scarfed down a sandwich and now I'm chugging water. The girl under the bleachers, one of the sadder ones. In the beginning, the little girl is given the stuffed animal by the 2 gay gentlemen that walk over the bridge and get pummeled to death. That little girl, later on, you find out is Dean's little sister. Dean is the kid in the mirror maze in the trailers, if you saw the trailers. So Dean's sister was the one that the gay guys gave the little stuffed animal to. She has, if you weren't in the room before when I was saying it, she has a big birthmark on her cheek, like huge, the full size of her cheek, basically. And I didn't even know it was a birthmark. They're at a fair, so I thought it was like a henna tattoo or something like that. My sister immediately caught it, who's in the room, Doma. That's my sister. Hello, Doma. But my sister caught it before I did. She was like, that's a birthmark, right? And I'm like, what? And she's like, on her cheek, that's a birthmark. And I'm like, they're at a fair. I just assumed it was like paint or something. Like, wouldn't that make sense? They're at a fair. There's people painting. There's henna tattoos. There's face painting. There's stuff like that. I assumed it was face paint. Even when she told me, I still wasn't 100% sure she was right. But no, it was actually a giant birthmark. Hence, the reason behind it, the point of it is she is very self-conscious, therefore shy, and like appears to not have a lot of friends. So later on in the show, they show her like 2 or 3 times, along with Dean, who's has a severe death as well. But they're at like a sporting event, I think, and they're in the bleachers, and the girl either wanders off or hears something, goes under the bleachers. Pennywise is there. You see that in the trailer when he that's what it was. Like basically Pennywise either makes a lightning bug land on her or is the lightning bug because he can make himself into anything, but then he catches it later. So I'm guessing he did it. I don't know. All I know is lightning bug lands on the little girl's hand. She then chases it under the bleachers right into Pennywise, catches it. Clearly he led her there. So she's not dumb though, the girl. The girl basically he's like, come here, closer, come closer. And she basically calls him out on it, which was funny. She's like, and he's like, everyone likes clowns. And she goes, not everyone likes clowns. And not everyone likes creepy clowns under bleachers, like in dark, like little, because he's in a dark shadow. And she literally calls him out for what it is. She's like that's creepy. Like, who likes clowns that are hiding in shadows? And she literally like makes a face like, I'm not coming near you. Like, that's crazy. And she turns around and I'm like, good for you, little girl. You're no dummy. But then he starts sobbing and he's like, no one likes me. I have no friends. I'm not quoting everything exactly, but basically, I have no friends, blah, 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 blah. She seems to sympathize with this because she probably has few friends too, because she's very self-conscious about the birthmark. And she sympathized with him, and he's like, and she's like, don't cry, blah, blah, blah. She walks over, and I think he does the whole balloon thing again. He hands her something. I think it's a balloon. And she like, and then he like does something, and like it totally by surprise. He's just like, they're just like, did that, blah, and he just like literally bites her fucking head off. Like, there's no sign. It isn't like he's like chasing her or he's like, come here, little girl. Like they're literally just like, oh yeah, you like that, and he bites her fucking head off. So that's all they show. They just show her clearly she's dead. He bites her friggin' head off. Like it's either completely ripped off or like from the jaw up, gone, like head gone, never see the little girl again. So like maybe her body is like tossed in the background somewhere or something, but like she never comes up again. And I was like, oh my God, because she was such a cute little innocent girl. And she like was smart enough to tell all the signs, but he still got her to go there because he's Pennywise. He knows how to get you. That's the reason behind him. He knows everything that gets you to do what he wants you to do. If he wants to scare the shit out of you, he's going to scare the shit out of you. If he wants you to believe him, he'll get you to believe him. He like plays on your feelings and emotions. So this poor little girl almost beat him and gets fucking head ripped off. Then shortly after that, Dean, the poor parents of these kids, by the way, because it seems like their parents, they show their parents once or twice and they seem like okay parents. They're not like assholes or anything. Their kids just keep wandering off. Like the parents will be there and they'll be like, you guys good? You want food? Okay, blah. And then the kids just run away. So like, I mean, maybe they should pay better attention, but the kids aren't like babies. Like Dean has got to be like 10 years old. The little girl's probably like 8 years old. So they're not like babies. But like, I mean, how much could you possibly watch as a parent? They're literally with their kids 24/7. Like most parents I know don't even go to sporting events with their kids. They're like, here's some money, go to the sporting event. Even at like 10 years old, most of my friends' parents did that. So like just the fact that parents are there shows that they're somewhat good parents. They're spending time with their kids. But then shortly after she wanders off, she dies, Dean wanders off, and he dies. Maybe I'm reversing it. All I know is very close together, they both die. I'm trying to remember the order. Maybe Dean dies. All I know is they both die so close together that I'm pretty sure the parents don't even know one is missing before the other dies. So Dean and his sister both, and Dean literally gets bit so hard that his entire body explodes. I'm not even kidding you. He's in the mirror maze, and that was actually, the mirror maze scene was awesome. Yeah, Doma agrees with me. The mirror maze scene is really fucking cool. Basically, they're running through the mirror maze. It's Bill, which is James McAvoy, Pennywise, and Dean, who's the little boy. Dean is in the middle. Pennywise is on this side. Bill is on this side. And they're making their way to the middle, and he's trying to save him, and he's trying to eat him. And basically, they both reach him at the same time, but Dean is in the middle, and they're both behind walls. You've probably seen parts of it in the trailer. They're both, James McAvoy is kind of built for, I guess he's still built from Split. So they use that to their advantage for this movie. And he's like beating the window, like punching to break this window down to get to Dean, to save Dean. And Pennywise is just standing there like laughing. Pennywise then proceeds to bash his head in the most violent manner you'll ever see a man bash his head into a window, to the point where it starts cracking. I mean, mind you, this is like crazy mirror maze mirrors. I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but they're like indestructible because people bash into them all the time. They have to be insanely strong. So they're like bulletproof probably. Pennywise is literally bashing his head like they're clearly speeding up film because it like you probably can't even see my hand. That's his head is hitting the glass that hard, cracks the glass to the point where it's completely spiderweb down. And you know that like one more blow to this glass and it's going to go. And Pennywise just like stops and makes that creepy ass smile you see in the trailer. And he like, Bill is like, please, Bill literally is saying like, take me. Like, I'll surrender to you right now. Kill me. Don't kill another kid. You already killed one little kid because of me. Don't do it twice. Like he's like trying to get it or Pennywise to take him instead. And Pennywise just smiles and one last bash. And in the same motion as the bash, like opens this giant mouth and like just fucking swallows Dean whole. Like it clamps down and the entire middle of the maze is just splattered with blood and human remains. Like he is incinerated, basically. Not incinerated. He is like just disintegrates into blood and mesh and flesh. So that is what happens to Dean. So good things do not happen to children in this. There is like no happy endings except for the losers. And even all of them don't make it. Let me go back up now here. Was there any mention of it being female? Blah, blah, blah. It seemed like they tried to give more screen time. I saw that. Blah, blah, blah. I thought it wiped out the dinosaurs. Is that real, Myles? Because that probably is what happened. Because they said it happened like, well, no, because then that would have been millions of years, right? Was dinosaurs? No, that was billions of years ago. Yeah. So maybe that was because they literally show. Now that you're mentioning it, it probably was the intent. They showed like the Big Bang thing. Well, no, it wasn't a Big Bang though. I don't know. Maybe it was. All I know is they showed a flashback when it landed and it was like before the beginning of time. And it was like billions of years ago. And they just showed a meteor with like a bright light, probably the dead lights, giant lighted meteor plowed into Derry. And it was like, that was it. That's the only thing you see. You don't see him like emerge from it. You don't see any of that. Like you just, that's it. Pennywise landed. So as far as it wiping out the dinosaurs, possibly, maybe he was the Big Bang. Maybe they were saying Pennywise was the Big Bang because they said at some point Native Americans found him and they tried to defeat him and failed. But Native Americans weren't billions of years ago. So clearly that was way after it landed. So clearly there is something going on, but it could have been the Big Bang. Maybe that's what they were hinting at. Maybe Pennywise was the Big Bang. In the book, yes, she had children and the losers had to destroy all the eggs. Really? In the book, it was a woman and had children and eggs? I never heard before. It did not wipe out the dinosaurs, but it had existed on Earth in the time of the dinosaurs. All right. That would make sense because it's billions of years old, but I wasn't sure if it was like a Big Bang or something like that. Just Joined wasn't as good as the first. Charlie Tin, I just saw you now. Are you still in the room, buddy? Just got out of the theater. Charlie Tin, I'm happy to see someone in here that has also seen it. You thought it was okay. I thought the same thing. I thought it wasn't good as the first, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm curious to see what you think if you're still here. I'm a head out. Seedless. It was good to see you. Sorry, I didn't read all your comments, but it looked like most of them were anime. But I'll probably do one of these tomorrow too, Seedless. If you're still here, I'll probably do one tomorrow. Yeah, apparently the fat kid was the large. I can't see it. Yeah, it's real. Oh. Going back to the Beverly sex scene. What happens to the body of the girl? Saw that. Appreciate your reply. It was someone else. Those parents of hers must feel terrible. That's what I was thinking. But I know. Imagine that. You take your kids to the fair and they both die, but from different incidents. Can you imagine? Like you see in the news, like horrible things happen all the time. Like, oh, this poor person died at the fair, but both your kids die at the fair and one died in the mirror maze and the other died under the bleachers watching a thing. Like that's either the worst fair ever or you are some horrible parenting. But I know it's a movie, but like, oh my God, imagine that sitcom. Like have them on like Jerry Springer or something. I'm going to paint a giant circle on your face. Isn't that fun? The mirror the mirror maze scene was awesome. Wait, is that all in the same night? Georgie got it easy. Yeah, that was all. It was literally the same hour. I'm pretty sure within like the same like 30 to 45 minutes, both their kids got murdered. And you never see like when like I said, I'm not positive. If someone else saw it, maybe they could. I'm pretty sure now that I'm thinking back, I'm pretty sure the girl died first, and then right after Dean snuck away and died. But they didn't know, like they didn't find the girl's body because Pennywise ate her. So it wasn't like they found her body and they're like, oh my God, call the cops. They might have thought like, where'd our daughter go? And then Dean ran away. But they literally let Dean run away before they even noticed the daughter was missing. So like they lost both their kids before they even knew one died, and both died. Georgie got easy. What happened at the end? Caesar, if you're still in the room, say what's up and I'll explain, because I've already explained a couple times what happened at the end. But if there's more people here that want to know, I will explain it. But I don't really think it is 1 billion years old. What is it? Dinosaurs were 350 million. I see. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking back to Jurassic Park where they're like 65 million. And for some reason I was thinking, was that billion or million? But it was million. 65 million years in the making was Jurassic Park. That is how old Steven Spielberg is. But I don't really think it is 1 billion years old. Actually, I don't think that it killed dinosaurs before. That is interesting. The book never clarified if that happened in the book. The losers as children were hallucinating in the smoke pit. And the It meteor ripped through the sky from outside the universe and crashed into Earth. That's Kyle. That is exactly what they showed. They showed the It meteor rip through the clouds and plow into Derry. I don't know if they actually showed the impact at the moment of. I think they did, but I can't remember. But they did show later on the kids went deep, deep down to where it was, and you saw where the meteor impacted, and it literally, like if something hit down and the Earth goes like this, it literally had like they had to go into the middle, and it was like a cone because the impact of the meteor. Caesar is, what's up? You are still here. Okay. And Sura, am I saying that right? Sura? I don't know why you're making a sad face. Is it, did you not like the movie? I don't know if you wrote something earlier, but I don't think I saw your comment. That is nice that they included that into the movie. Yeah, it was like, that's what I'm saying. Certain things were really cool. Like you're like, oh, that's friggin' awesome that they added that. And then other things you're like, why did they put this in and not something like that? Like I made a list of stuff over here and I'm trying to think. I have like a board over here that I write shit on. I'm just trying to see if I forgot anything. The mythology. Oh, there was a flashback. Cameo by Stephen King. Stephen King, there was actually like a bunch of little Easter eggs in that one moment. At one moment, Bill has to find his artifact. So they're all trying to figure out like, what is my artifact, I guess. So Bill, they all separate. They're literally all on their own. Like Bill's by himself. Beverly's by herself. That's what I kind of didn't like either. They kept doing flashbacks about the kids together, but as adults, they all just went off on their own thing. Like until the very end, like the third act, when they all came together to fight it, they all did their own thing. They all had their like own little side quests. So Bill's side quest was he had to get silver, which was his bike. If you're familiar with the books or the miniseries, he was obsessed with that silver bike. I think he called it, yeah, he was like Hi-Yo Silver, like the Lone Ranger. So the bike was silver. There is also a Stephen King movie called Silver Bullet, which was like Gary Busey. And it was like a kid that had like a modified wheelchair that they called Silver Bullet because Gary Busey like modified it. I think Gary Busey did it, or maybe the kid did. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Anyway, I think it was a little shout out to that too. So anyway, he goes to a thrift store because he sees silver in the window, but it's like rusted to shit. Goes in the thrift store or the antique store, whatever you want to call it. And Stephen King is the proprietor of this establishment. And he's basically like your typical cranky old man. And he's got James McAvoy, who is Bill, is a writer. So he's got James McAvoy's book on his desk and he's giving him like attitude. And then James McAvoy notices he's got the book on the table and he's like, oh, you're a fan? You want me to sign it? And he goes, nah, don't bother. I hated the ending, which is hilarious because everyone always says how they dislike the ending of it. So it was kind of like little Easter eggs everywhere. They got the bike from the first one, which is called Silver, which I think is sort of a nod to Silver Bullet. Then you got Stephen King camming, I can't say it. You know what I'm saying? Camo. Why can't I say it? You know what I'm saying? Appearing in the movie and then making us basically a joke about his own movie. Like basically saying like I know my endings are shit or something like that. So that was all like hilarious. But all of that, I kid you not, took like 5 to 10 minutes. So I loved it. And it was great seeing Stephen King. So this is a good example of what I'm saying, where I'm saying I liked what they did, but I'm like, instead of throwing a 10-minute segment in where Stephen King is just cracking jokes and giving you shit because he hates his endings, like you could have gave me a whole backstory on like what Beverly's been up to for 27 years. Like they never said anything. Like Richie's a comedian. Eddie, they talk about how Eddie is an insurance risk guy, like a claims guy. Like he's the guy that goes out and like investigates insurance claims and stuff. They talk about that like 3 or 4 times, how and they even comment how boring a job it is. Like Richie makes comments like, yeah, dude, that's such a boring fucking job. And I'm like in my head thinking, I don't even know what Beverly does. We keep talking about Eddie's boring job, but we're not even mentioning what Beverly does. The only thing you see of Beverly is her husband beats the shit out of her. Like she gets the phone call from Mike. She hangs up and the husband goes, who was that? And she goes, a friend. And he goes, yeah, a friend named Mike. Why do you fucking lie to me? And beats the shit out of her. Like literally backhands her, beats her with a belt, like whips a belt out and just starts whipping her with a belt, like a leather belt. And then grabs her like this and pulls her in and just belts her right in the jaw. Literally fucking like hauls off, like literally grabs her. Like imagine hitting someone like that full strength, but pulling them into it. Like he literally, boom, like pulls her right in and knocks her across the friggin' bedroom. And then she scuffles with him and runs out the door and jumps in a car or a flight or whatever and goes. That's all you see of Beverly's adult life. She is basically married an asshole and gets beaten all the time. And the beatings in this movie are severe. Like I said, in the beginning, the 2 gay guys get the shit beat out of them. Beverly, like 10 minutes after that, you see the phone calls and Beverly gets the shit beat out of her. And then it just fucking eats children. It is definitely like if you added up all the horrific scenes for like shock value, it's got to be one of the like pushing the limits, I'd say, for a theater movie. Like I said, there are tons of straight to DVD and stuff like that are way worse. Like Trauma's like most subtle movie is probably more crazy than this. Trauma goes nuts with their gore and violence. Like if you watch like Nukem High, Class of Nukem High, like Toxic Avenger, shit like that. Like the first Toxic Avenger was back in like the 80s and they ran over a little kid's head and they kept backing over and you see his skull explode. That was violence. But it's Trauma. So when it happened, I was like, you like laugh. You're like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Because it's not a real little kid and the movie's friggin' ridiculous. But in this, you're sympathizing. These are like adorable little kids in what we think is the real world. And they're getting like eaten by a sadistic killer clown. It's brutal. But that is nice. I liked when it was like, do you want me to sign it? No, yeah, that was the Stephen King thing when he wanted him to sign the book. She's a professional punching bag. Beverly owns a clothing line. Yeah, see, Aiden, someone told me that after, I think, or maybe it was in a review I saw after I saw the movie, but someone said that in the book, she's a very successful fashion designer. You would never know that. There's nothing in this movie that even hints that she has good fashion sense or anything. It's not like she's like dolled up in the greatest fashion or something. She literally shows up in like regular clothes and catches up with the guys in the losers club. And that's it. End of story. Like there's no background on Beverly, which is kind of why I said that she wasn't my favorite. It has nothing to do with her acting. She's just very underutilized. Also, I just realized I forgot another thing. The guy who played Mike Hanlon, who is the black kid, well, the adult version of him, is Isaiah Mustafa. If you guys don't know who he is, I didn't either. but I realized when I saw his picture, he is the Old Spice guy. Remember the Old Spice commercials where the jacked black guy, before Terry Crews, there was another jacked black guy that would do Old Spice commercials. And he had like, they're very bizarre where he's riding unicorns and stuff like that. That is adult Mike Hanlon. Going into the movie, I was looking at the cast and I'm like, why don't I know this guy? And I'm like, he looks so familiar. And then I IMDb'd him and he is the Old Spice guy. So that kind of, I'm not going to lie, that kind of took me out of it, even though that sounds ridiculous. All I know him from is the Old Spice commercials, and he was so ridiculous. Every time I'd see Mike Hanlon was by far the most serious character. And every time I watched it, I was like, that's the Old Spice guy. And I'm picturing him on a unicorn. And no one probably else thought that, because I'm willing to bet 90% of the people that see this movie will not know that's the Old Spice guy, because he has much thicker hair. He has a full beard and he's very run down because he's like he's the one guy that never left dairy, and he has like dealt with it, like, or researching it and doing all this shit his whole life. So he is like bags under his eyes. He like barely sleeps. So it's a whole lot of, you don't really notice Mike Hanlon is the Old Spice guy, but I'm telling you guys, he's the Old Spice guy. Sorry. Apparently I've been talking so long, all my electronics just shut off. So I had to turn it back on. But, oh, that's right. They didn't really dabble in that though. See, Aiden, is that in the book? Somebody told me Mike Hanlon in the books is like an alcoholic or a junkie. They didn't really show that. They showed him drinking a bit, like alcohol, but they didn't show him like going nuts with drugs or anything like that. Even Ben, I heard Ben Hanscom in the books is supposed to be like an alcoholic, because like he got himself in shape and became very successful, but he like still like lost the love of his life. So like he's regretful or something like that. But they didn't like, besides in the very beginning, Ben's in a meeting and he's drinking like bourbon at home. But like, and then when they get to the dairy, they jump behind the bar of the hotel and they're drinking. But like, that's to be expected because they're back to fight a killer clown. I'd be chugging handles. But that was another thing too, which I thought was very odd. When they get to the hotel, there's never anyone there. Like they all check in themselves. They all walk in. There's never anyone at the desk. And it's not like it's a dirty old hotel. It is like immaculate. It is like clean and spotless, fully stocked bar. All their rooms are like cleaned and their beds are made and stuff. So clearly it is a functioning hotel, but there is never anyone there. They all check themselves in, go behind the counter, grab their keys, go behind the bar, mix all their own drinks, get wasted, murder people. Like Eddie gets stabbed in the face. There's a psycho lunatic running around. Henry Bowers is literally in the hotel stabbing people and chasing people around. Never once do you see any person at the hotel, let alone helping them. Like someone's trying to murder them and there's no one there. No one's there to check them in. No one's there to serve them liquor. No one's there to help murdering rampages. So I thought that was extremely odd, because it wasn't like no one was in Derry. They'd go to the fair and there'd be like 1,000 people at the carnival. And then they'd go to the library or something and there'd be like a couple people there or something. Like people were at other places. He went to the pharmacy and people were in the pharmacy. The guy was still running the pharmacy. His daughter was taking over the pharmacy. So it wasn't like Derry got forgotten. Like the kids were grown up. They were working jobs. People were going to fairs, having fun. The gay couple in the beginning that got bashed even commented that the one gay kid lived there his whole life, and his boyfriend, who was the one that got brutally beaten, was just moved to Derry to be with him. So they're even saying like gay people are moving into town and like forming like relationships and stuff. It wasn't like Derry was like a forgotten ghost town, and like no one's at the hotel ever. I didn't like certain little things like that got to me. Like the first time they checked in, I was like, that's really weird. Why are they checking themselves in? And I would have forgot about it. But then like 10 minutes later, Jessica Chastain jumps behind the bar and she's just chilling behind the bar by the register, mixing drinks. Ben walks in, makes him a drink. Bill, they're all just boozing it up for like an hour in the hotel bar and no one's there stopping them. And they're just drinking whatever they want. It's like little things like that. I watch a lot of movies, so I pay attention to detail because I want the details to matter. And in this case, I thought it was going to amount to something. I literally was like looking at my sister and I'm like, you could ask her in the comments if she's still watching. I literally go, you notice there's never anyone in this hotel? This is going to amount to something. There's got to be a reason. Why is there no one ever in this hotel? And it's never spoken of. So I don't know what that was all about. I'm trying to see. She does. I was surprised that it did not eat too many people in the movies. In the book, Pennywise would eat everyone left and right. Yeah, Kyle, he ate a lot of kids, and there was a river of children. Kyle, were you here before when I told about the river of children? Like right after they defeat Pennywise in chapter 1, there's a flashback in this movie that flashes back the immediate after scene, and Henry Bowers like basically the dam in the sewer breaks and Henry Bowers comes floating out, and that's when you see how he survived the drop down the hole. He flows out of the hole, and with him is like hundreds of slaughtered child bodies. So like you don't actually see Pennywise eat them all, but you see the devastation he has created, like dozens, if not hundreds of children's bodies. Oh, but I talked about it earlier. You must have not been in the room yet. But I'm talking like not whole bodies. Like at one point, I'm like, are those children? Then you see like a little head float by, a little arm with the bone still sticking out with the nub. And then like a foot goes by with the sneaker still on it. But like you see like shredded flesh, like in the water, like with it. Then I'm like, oh my God, they're not attached. It's all like limbs. It was like hundreds of slaughtered children's bodies, like just decimated. And Henry Bowers floats out with it, and he's laying in the water surrounded by like a quarter mile of children's bodies. And literally he's just maniacally laughing. And then when he walks home, he's covered in blood because he came out with the kid, and all the cops, including his father, who is the sheriff or the chief of police or whatever. And his dad is basically like, you fucking sick bastard. And he confesses and says he's the one that was like killing certain people. I don't know if he confesses to all the murders, but he confesses to murdering some people or something like that. I'm not exactly clear on what he confessed to, but he goes to the mental asylum because he confesses to some murders, if not all the murders, or some specific murders. Oh, that's right. My sister just said he starts screaming, I'm not done. Let me kill them all, or something like that. So I'm assuming he means the Losers Club, because he's like, I'm not done. Let me kill them all. But he goes mad and he just starts screaming and ranting gibberish. So they assume he is the murderer. They assume that Henry Bowers murdered all the children. So that's basically how Henry Bowers gets out. But I'm talking, if you're talking Pennywise murdered a lot of people in the book, there is hundreds of slaughtered children in that scene. It's basically from the chapter 1. If you remember chapter 1, when all the kids were floating back down to earth and they're looking up, they're like, it's all the children, they're coming down, and they were floating back down. That basically flooded out, and all those bodies were dead children. I remember at the end of chapter 1, I even said, I rewatched it today, and I was rewatching it with my sister, and I said, whatever happened to all the bodies? Well, they show you. I'm happy they did. That's one of the things they do explain. In chapter 1, I'm like, did no one ever find those bodies? Did they just like leave 100 dead children bodies in the cave? But no, it ended up flooding out because something like the dam broke or something. It flooded out and all the bodies came out. But they never acknowledged finding the bodies, except for the fact that Henry Bowers confessed. But if they're assuming that Henry Bowers killed 100 kids by himself, that's a little far-fetched. I don't understand that part. Like, that's like, unless the bodies were like only the kids could see it, or it was like a weird hallucination. I don't know. All I know is there were hundreds of dead children bodies, and nothing was spoke of about it besides Henry Bowers like going to insane asylum. So that was a little crazy. And Aiden, there was a front desk at the hotel. Oh, I think you followed up later on. But yeah, there was a front desk. They literally walk up to the front desk. I don't even know if they asked for help. Maybe my sister will remember, but I feel like they didn't even ask for help or ring a bell. I think like Jessica Chastain just walked behind the front desk and there was like, the slots where they have the keys for the hotel. They're literally like, which room you want? Here you go, key. Which room you want? Here you go, key. And they're just handing out keys. They all check in, come back down to the bar. No one's behind the bar, fully stocked alcohol bar. And Jessica Chastain, yet again, jumps over the bar. Like, I guess they're trying to show, like in the chapter 1, she's always the first to take the initiative. Like, she jumped off the cliff first. Like, she's not afraid. She's like, I'm going to do what the fuck I want, which I dig. That's cool. So she basically is the first one to do everything. She jumps behind the bar. She just starts making drinks. But never is there a person in the hotel ever besides the losers, and then Henry Bowers, who stabs one of them, and no one in the hotel is the wiser. Yeah, I thought the hotel was going to be all in their heads or something. Yeah, see, that's my sister. So it was just nothing. It amounted to nothing. Like, that's another thing. Like, why spend so much time on that when it meant nothing? Like, unless I missed something, but like my sister watched it with me. I was with a bunch of friends. No one thought anything. No one saw anything. And no one really picked up on it like I did, because like I said, I watch a lot of movies, so I pay close attention to detail. So most people wouldn't even acknowledge it, but I noticed right away. Like, things like that stick out in my head because if you watch enough movies, you expect the obvious. So when something is out of the ordinary, you immediately are like, wait a second. Cause like you watch 1,000 movies with hotels, you walk in, you check in, the guy at the hotel has some banter and you leave. Usually the guy at the front desk is always a comedian and you got some jokes. So like, I look forward to the desk guy. The desk guy is always a jolly good time. The second there is no desk guy, I'm like, wait, why is there no guy at the front desk? Then immediately I'm like, I go to bars all the time. You bet your ass that if you jump behind a bar, within 5 seconds, someone's going to throw you out of that place and yell at you because it is illegal, and they will get their liquor license taken away, let alone you'll lose your job. So all this stuff like stuck out in my head, and they focused a lot of time on it. Like, if you cut out them checking in their rooms and them chilling at the bar, taking advantage of free hotel liquor, you could have added another like 10 or 20 minutes of something important, or just shaved off 10 or 20 minutes of a movie that was already pretty long. The Moon, what did you think? I liked it. I'm just nitpicking stuff right now, but I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. I'm just nitpicking certain things. Like that's my job. My job is to sit here and tell you about things and then complain. He screams, I'm not done. Oh, I read that before. Now the BCS is starting up the next season, next year, going to start the show back up. BCS. Why can't I think of what that is? Better Call Saul. Oh, Better Call Saul. I am going to actually, when I'm done with The Wire, I'm going to try my new method of editing on Better Call Saul. I've told you guys that since I've gotten better at all this, I think I figured out the whole editing thing. I get very few videos flagged now. And when I do, it's not my fault. So I'm going to give it a shot with Better Call Saul. I had so much problem with it in the beginning, but it was the second show I started, I think. I think I went from The Wire right to Better Call Saul. And I was like doing this for like 2 weeks. So I wasn't familiar with the editing, but now that I am, I will give Better Call Saul another shot. So you might see some of them pop up. Can you believe? I think they just changed him with killing his dad. And then he was so crazy still that they stuck him in the asylum. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that Henry Bowers killed his father in the beginning. I'm saying his dad was probably there. I totally forgot he murdered his father. I apologize. I literally just rewatched the first one today, and so much happened in this movie that I'm totally forgetting the obvious, that Henry Bowers murdered his father. No, they didn't. They were just waiting there and they started arguing. Okay, that was the hotel. What happened to Eddie's mom? Eddie's mom is raped by the leper. Not the leper. What is it the leper? Why do I feel like I'm saying that wrong? The leper? Is that what I'm saying? I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Anyway, Eddie's mom is raped by the leper from the chapter 1. Literally, Eddie has a chance in a flashback. His mom is tied to a gurney and the leper is tied to a wall. And Eddie has like a chance to untie his mom, and the leper gets like this close and is still tied up. And Eddie still has like a couple minutes, and he is like, "Mom, I'm sorry," and runs away. And the leper like rapes his mom. I'm not even kidding. Like jumps on her, tongue down her throat, starts tongue kissing her, and is like gyrating all over her body. Looks like he's raping the crap out of her. Maybe the moon can. I'm not mad they confirmed. No, I thought that was great. The moon, I love that they confirmed that at the end. I thought that was a great little like thing at the end where like you didn't really see it coming till the very end. And then when you like, it was basically like, is that what I think it is? But you're not really sure. And then they like, nope, boom, there it is. I liked it too. But yeah, the moon. Talk like I need a second opinion on this. Did it not look like Eddie's mom was getting raped by the leper? Like it looked like it was tongue kissing her. Eddie ran the fuck out, and then it was gyrating all over her body, and she was tied up to a gurney. Like maybe it was just tongue kissing her to death, but it looked to me like he was like humping her violently or something. And the fact that he's diseased made me think like sexually transmitted diseases. He's tongue kissing her, like he's all gross. Like maybe he's friggin' raping. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but it looked to me like Eddie's mom was getting sexually violated. And then I don't think you ever see Eddie's mom again. But she's not dead. That's where a lot of it falls into the realm of are these things even happening? Because that happened in a flashback. Eddie was a little kid. That all happened. You assume his mom was violently attacked by the leper. But then when Eddie's older, I'm pretty sure mentions his mom or comments about his mom. Maybe I'm wrong now, though. Now I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure Eddie comments about his mother at some point as an adult. So if his mom is still alive as an adult, then none of that could have happened. Because if you were raped by a sadistic clown in the body of a leper, diseased leper, I'm pretty sure you would die or never be seen again. I don't know. All I know is that's where a lot of this falls in a gray area, like the thing with Henry Bowers floating out with the bodies of children. I'm so torn between what is real and what is not, because so much of what happens is in their minds. So it's very hard to tell. Alien AIDS. Yes, maybe he'll give him alien. I mean, if he could turn himself into a leper, I'm sure he could turn himself into a leper with AIDS. Like, how hard is it to give yourself AIDS if you could turn into a diseased leper and a giant 50-foot spider? I feel like it's possible, right, guys? I feel like it. But I do dig the alien AIDS. It's pretty funny. Let me see where I left off. What about Eddie Mom? I just got home from seeing it. Read the book recently, and I think that spoiled it for me a bit. Not in a spoiler's way. I'm not mad they confirm the moon. I don't know if Myles is still in here, but Myles was helping me with the book before. He was the only one that read the book in the chat before. But in the book, is Richie gay, or is Eddie gay, or is neither of them gay? Because I know in the miniseries, they led you to believe Eddie was, and I'm pretty damn sure he was. They just never flat out said it. They never flat out said Eddie's gay, like the way they confirmed this at the end. In the miniseries, they literally, like Stanley's head makes a comment and goes, "How's your sex life? What is your sex life?" I always remembered that because as a kid, I didn't fucking get it. When I was a little kid, I remember Stanley's head freaking me out. And then he would go to like Eddie and he was like, what's your sex life? Or how's your sex life? What is your sex life? And I'm like, I don't get it. Because I was friggin' 8 years old. But now looking back, I'm like, that's because everyone questions Eddie's sexuality, but they never flat out say it. Even Eddie covers it up several times. He's like, what? I've had girlfriends. I've had sex before with girls. Like, what are you guys talking about? And he's like, but he seems like unsure of himself. And he's obviously seems like he's making up. Like, of course I've had sex, but like, is he making it up because he's a virgin and he's just shy? Or is he making it up because he's a closet homosexual? They don't really tell you in the miniseries. So I'm not sure how the book portrayed it. Hey, now that I got the opportunity, you should probably stop expecting Avon. Can you believe you didn't spoil that for me? Even though that would have been very mean if I didn't know that. But the other day, I'll let you slide based on the simple fact that one of my best friends the other day literally did the same thing. He came over to me. This is one of my best friends, literally came up to me and was like, I'm just going to let you down now because you won't stop talking about it. Avon never shows up again. He's like, Avon shows up for like 5 seconds in the finale, but he's like, and I'm like, dude. And he was like, I just want you to know because you talk about that so much that you're not focusing on other things that are important. So I was like, all right, I only have like 4 episodes left. If I found that out like in season 3, I would have been like, are you fucking shitting me? But the fact that I found out with 4 episodes left, I kind of appreciate it because now I will focus on other things. I don't like it. And I think that's really fucking weird that they wouldn't put Avon back in. But at the same token, I'm happy I know now because now I will just not expect it. And if all you guys are lying, then I'll be really surprised. But the fact that he said it yesterday and you said it now leads me to believe that that is too coincidental. So I will bow my head at the next episode of Avon and I will tell everyone before the next video. I want everyone to know my reactions are as honest as possible. So before the next episode, I'm going to tell people that I know that so that because people will actually be like, why have you stopped on the Avon bandwagon? Because every friggin' credits, like every after thing I do when I talk, I bring up Avon. So that's going to stop at this point. That's why Eddie marries a woman like his mom because he has trauma. I think R+E was subtext in the book. Okay. But the Moon, was either of them openly gay in the book? Like Eddie or Richie or anybody? As far as I know, see, I don't know the book, but no one's ever told me whether or not one was or not. He mentions his mom died of liver cancer. I think it was, but they never mentioned. Maybe that's why, Jess. My sister's saying that they may have mentioned that Eddie's mom died of liver cancer. Maybe she got cancer because the disease leper tongued her fucking to death. So now she's got cancer because he friggin' tongued her mouth. Not that you can get cancer from tongue kissing, but it's it. Maybe it infused cancer, and I don't know how it works. It could turn into 50-foot spiders. Maybe it could shove cancer down your throat. Maybe it can turn into cancer. Maybe it could turn into microbiotic forms and go into your body, give her cancer. She dies, and now it comes back out. I don't know. I don't know the extents of this dude. I feel like I was getting aggressive with myself there. I was like actually like arguing with myself, even though no one even said anything. I'm sorry, Jay. I apologize for getting so aggressive with you. He mentions his mom, blah. Yeah, I was feeling bad because you were so excited for it. Hey, like I said, no harm. His story is done. His greater purpose has been fulfilled. No, I don't think any of the losers are explicitly out in the book. All right. So based on the way, see, this is what I thought the Moon. I thought based on the way he was portrayed in the miniseries, Eddie we're talking about, I thought based on that he was like out as a homosexual in the books, but that the miniseries, because of it was made in the 80s. And that was like when the AIDS epidemic came out and all that. And people were like, it wasn't like things are today. So I was thinking maybe they thought it was too risque to make an openly gay character in a primetime miniseries in the 80s. That's what I thought. So when I saw the miniseries as an adult, I was like, why are they so loosely acting like Eddie's gay? I thought that the book was like much more deep. I thought the book came full out like Eddie's a homosexual, and the miniseries just died it down. That's what my thoughts were. But now that you say that, I guess the miniseries was pretty true to the novels or the novel. It was one novella. Was it a no? No, it's a novella. Wasn't it? I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So that's actually clever. I'm actually happy to know that because my entire life, I thought that Eddie, I thought they literally pulled back him being gay because of television. I mean, look at nowadays. I don't know if any of you guys, I'm not embarrassed to say this, but I watch Bachelor in Paradise. I've never watched The Bachelor, never seen Bachelor in Paradise. I watch Collider Live. I know some of you and some of my subscribers, a lot of my subscribers watch Collider Live, but they rant about how great Bachelor in Paradise is because it's just like a traffic accident. Like you can't look away. It's like horribly good is what I'm saying. It's not a good show. It's a horribly good show. You like to just watch a train wreck. So Collider Live has been pitching this they do a show Monday through Friday every day. And every day they do like a 20-minute talk about Bachelor in Paradise. So by default, I started watching the show because I watch them every morning. I'll listen to them on the way to work, stuff like that. So I had to get into it because I was like, if you guys are going to talk about this 20 minutes every day, I don't want to watch I don't want to like listen to somebody else. So I'm going to have to friggin' watch this shit because I want to know what you're talking about. It is so addictive. I'm not going to lie. It is horribly bad but horribly good, but it's addictive. My point being, in the show Bachelor in Paradise, there is a gay couple. One of the girls decided she was going to come out on the show, and she's supposed to be dating dudes, and came out, and they have a girl who was her girlfriend outside of the show come on the island, and they're like just in their own little game now. Like they have nothing to do with Bachelor in Paradise. They hand out roses like to each other, but they're both women and they're gay, so they can't lose. When the guys hand out roses, the girl that is on the show hands out her rose. And when the girls hand out roses, her gay lover that is now on the show, her lesbian lover, hands out her rose to her. So they have no chance of losing, which I have nothing against gays or lesbians, but I think that's extremely unfair because they basically got a 2-month vacation and had no ability to lose. I guess the show was thinking maybe she'll flip and become straight again, but like she didn't. So like the whole show, she was just like there. But I don't mind for the sheer fact that she is the best character on the show. Her name is Demi, and I'm sorry I'm ranting about this. I'm going to stop in a second, but she is the best character on the whole show, so I didn't mind too much. But the point being, they were freaking out on the news about a gay couple on Bachelor in Paradise. This is almost 2020, and they were making a huge deal out of a gay couple on television today. So I can only imagine what it was like having a gay couple in the 80s. So my point being that I thought the miniseries didn't make Eddie gay because they were afraid of like the backlash or something, being that it was the 80s and they didn't want to have like an openly gay character. But if it was in the books and he wasn't openly gay there, then I guess they were being true to the novels. I just find it insane that people made a big deal out of there being a gay couple on The Bachelor in Paradise. It's literally 2020. Like, why is like there's literally sitcoms and entire shows and movies based on gay people. Like, why is having a gay couple on a reality show a big deal? Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Maybe you guys could tell me. I don't know if you watch a whole lot of reality. I don't really. All I watch is Big Brother, and that's about it. But then I started watching Bachelor in Paradise this season because of Collider Live. So I'm not a huge like reality guy, at least not nowadays. Back in like high school and college, I watched Survivor and all that shit. Like I watched The Rock of Love and like whatever Flavor Flav show was. I watched all those for fun, but I just don't get it. I went on a rant there. I apologize. I'm remembering correctly. It's only subtext, not explicit. Okay. Oh, I don't know if you had caught it, but when Bubbles and other people mentioned the bug, yes. Can you believe? I appreciate you letting me know that. But I think it was in season 1 when what was his friend's name? Johnny 5. I think Bubbles' friend was Johnny 5. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but I think it's Johnny. No, Johnny 5 is from Short Circuit. Unless his name was Johnny 5 too, was it? Let me know, can you believe? But in the very first season, when you find out that Bubbles' friend has AIDS, he said the bug. And I literally asked my friend after the episode, I go, the bug's AIDS, right? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm surprised you caught that so quick. And I'm like, well, they're shooting up needles and he looks like he's emaciated. So the only thing I could think of would be AIDS. Like you don't like get cancer from, well, maybe you can in some very extreme, weird, rare circumstances, but you don't typically get cancer and shit like that from shooting up heroin. So as soon as they said the bug and I saw needles were involved, I'm like, it's got to be AIDS. But thank you for telling me just in case I didn't know. The Nerd Crew is a parody of Collider Live. That's my experience with it. The Nerd Crew. I don't know if I know the Nerd Crew. I've been watching Collider for 5 years, maybe before it was even Collider. I've been watching them since it was like the Schmodown. I'm very into movie trivia because I'm very into movies. I'm very good at movie trivia. So I started playing like movie trivia Schmodown, stuff like that. That's what got me into Collider Live. The guys that host Collider Live were the original Schmodown guys. So that's the only reason I found it. I honestly, and I used to watch Heroes, which is a comic book show on Collider Live. But John Schnepp, who hosted it, died last year, right before San Diego Comic-Con. He died of a massive heart attack, like 49 years old. He might have just turned 50. But like, I watched the show just for John Schnepp. He was the guy that directed the death of Superman or something. Like, I forget the title. Like something like why wasn't there the death of Superman? Some weird title. And it was about Kevin Smith's Superman movie that was never made with like, what's his name? The guy that did Beetlejuice and all that stuff. Going out on a tangent again. But my point being is I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh, the Nerd Crew. Yeah, I don't know who the Nerd Crew is. Beverly's husband and Bill's wife play a much greater role in the book. A lot has been changed for this new adaptation. Yes. See, I didn't know about Beverly's husband. I know in the miniseries, Beverly's husband smacks her around. She tells him, go screw yourself, and she leaves, and that's the end of that. So from the miniseries, Beverly's husband is not a big deal in the miniseries. But Bill's wife was huge. We talked about this before, but I know you got here, the Moon. You just got here recently. But I was talking about how Bill's wife was a huge deal in the miniseries, and Myles, who was in here before helping me with the book stuff, was telling me that it's a huger deal in the books. So I was thinking, I honestly thought when I saw this movie tonight, I thought maybe the miniseries just made all that up. So I was thinking that Bill's wife was never a thing because the movie, The Moon, am I wrong? Or was his wife in it for like less than 30 seconds? Like if you added up all the camera time she had, I feel like Bill's wife didn't even have like 30 seconds. Like not even like a full minute would be pushing it, I'd say. But I don't even think she had 30 seconds. But in the miniseries, huge deal. She is literally the last thing you see. The last like 5 minutes is focused around how it has put her into a coma, like a paralyzed stasis, basically, where like she's in a coma, but like she's there, and like Bill like feeds her and stuff and like cares for her, but she's like not hospitalized. She's just like in a paralyzed state or like a coma. And the last 5 minutes is dedicated to showing how Bill like sacrificed his life to like, because he loved her. And then he rides down a hill and wakes her up and they live happily ever after. But like his wife is a huge deal. The Nerd Crew is by Red Letter Media. Oh, I do know Red Letter Media. Maybe I do know the Nerd Crew. Maybe I just don't know them by that name. Maybe I just know them by look. Jessica Chastain was wearing way too much makeup. Honestly, I didn't notice. It was very dark, so I didn't really notice. If anything, maybe they overdid it so it could draw like attention to her. I honestly didn't notice, but I'm also a guy, so I don't know if you could be a guy too. The Moon, I don't know. It could be a girl or a guy. It's a mixed gender, it could go either way. But as a man, I will admittedly say I do not notice makeup all the time. They only showed his wife to show off that he married someone who looks like Beverly. Oh, that's right. Yes. I was trying to I honestly remember them introducing his wife when he was in the studio, but I couldn't remember what she looked like. But as soon as you said that, that's right. She had orange hair, she was a redhead. And she did. Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, I didn't even think of that because she was in it so little. She had so little camera time that I literally didn't even realize that she had red hair until you just said that. But now that I literally picture her in my head at that scene. The only showed is catatonic state. That's what I was trying to think. Thank you, sir. I kept trying to think of the word. I kept saying a paralyzed stasis, coma. You could tell how much is too much because they usually don't contour so you could see their actual complexion of their neck. See, I'm like, if you say that, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But like when I'm watching it, I don't go like, hey, wait, she's got too much makeup on. Like if you go like, you see her face and I really pay attention, I'll be like, oh yeah, it looks like she's got, but I'm like more so paying attention to like the things in the movie that will like have an effect. Like, I mean, it's very, very little, very few times have I seen the amount of makeup a woman wears affect the plot. I'm not mocking anybody for noticing that. I'm just saying that I would never notice that, or unless it was like hysterical or like intentionally overdone to the extreme. But typically, I probably wouldn't notice things like that. Like here's a question I have for you, the moon. Here's a question I have that I even see someone told me this too. Someone said if you didn't know the book or the miniseries, you would be really lost with a lot of this movie. And I didn't think about that when I was watching it, but then when someone said that, I was like, you actually would be really lost. There's a lot of like subtle like references that if you didn't see the miniseries or read the book, like I probably missed 1,000 things because I didn't read the book but I just saw the miniseries and just saw chapter one. But there is like subtle things. For instance, I don't even understand this. When the moon is the only one I know that probably saw this besides myself, but when he is having a flashback, I think it was Eddie, maybe I can't remember who it was, but it's when Pennywise is in the trailer and it's the scene from the trailer where he rips his face off and he like carves the Pennywise like smiling. Why does my camera keep shaking? That's annoying the crap out of me. But if you know the scene I'm talking about, he is ripping his face off. Who is that dude? Because they kept calling him by a name. Like they kept calling him like, or somebody mentioned him by name. Yeah, wait, no, that's not it. Bill is working on the movie at the time. Shield have to look like Miss Doubtfire. Bill's wife shows up. I'm wondering, Bill's wife shows up and it's one of the actresses. Oh, okay. It was lipstick and fake eyelashes. It was very obvious to me. I'm a woman. Oh, okay. The moon. Do you, based on the fact that you read the book, what were they trying to say there? Were they trying to just scare the shit out of the kid? Or were they saying that like the old lady's father really was a guy that like Pennywise possessed or something? I was taking it as the old lady's father was this carnival guy who was like evil or mean or like outcasted, so to speak. And then Pennywise in the 27-year cycle like targeted that guy to like possess him or use his identity and became a clown. I got kind of lost in there. There was like right around that time, I literally had to run to the bathroom. I was drinking beers and water. And I literally was like, I am going to piss my pants. So I literally ran to the bathroom for 5 seconds. And that was what was happening. So I honestly, based on the fact I haven't read the book and none of that happened in the miniseries, like nothing like that happened in the miniseries. There was no origin story or anything like that, at least at that level. So I was very unsure of what was going on there. I'm like, based on the fact that most of what was going on was in their minds, I almost believed like maybe it was just like a fake incident that happened to just traumatize the kids or give like a fake origin story. But I'm honestly not sure. The guy who tears his face is Bob Gray. That's it. That's definitely the name that I heard. But what's his deal? What's Bob Gray's deal? Like, I missed that. I admittedly ran to the bathroom and I think I missed who the fuck Bob Gray is. I think because of the hardships of the family, they were susceptible to be taken over by Pennywise. So that was what happened. So basically, I'm kind of right with what I said. He was like a down on his luck dude that just kind of got like possessed, so to speak, or does Pennywise just kind of take his identity because he's a shapeshifter and he can do whatever he wants? Or did he like legit like possess this guy and make him do evil things? See, because I'm assuming that he killed the dude and that just took the dude over and like all the evil shit the guy did was actually Pennywise, but looked like the dude. Or did the dude like a Henry Bowers type thing? Did the dude just become evil and like was doing Pennywise's bidding? Because it never really says Henry Bowers was possessed. He just kind of is like an evil shithead, and Pennywise is like, yo, I'm gonna give you the ability to go friggin' kill these kids. So I'm thinking that's what the Bob Gray thing was. But like I said, not positive on that. Also, adults become agents of it because they lose the magic of belief of childhood. Okay. So that's like, I kind of assumed that, but I wasn't sure of that. He doesn't kill a whole lot of adults. It seems like he only kills adults that get in his way. I can't recall. Like the gay kid that got killed in the beginning, he was like borderline adult. Like that one was kind of confusing. Why did he target that guy? That guy was not borderline adult. He was like a grown man. He was like moved to Derry to be with his gay lover friend, or not friend, it's his lover. And he moved to Derry to be with him. So he's clearly an adult man. And Pennywise, that was his first victim. And Pennywise, it wasn't like he like ran into Pennywise. Like Pennywise like went after him, like targeted him. So that's like interesting too. I didn't think of that. Like that's like one of the only people besides the adult losers that I could think of that he targeted. Unless they did say that the kid that got thrown, Adrian Mellon was his name. Adrian Mellon got thrown in the water, and the gay kid that was his lover that lived in Derry his whole life. The only thing I can think is maybe he experienced incidents with it. No, but he couldn't have because he wasn't old enough to, like, he probably wasn't any older than 27, which means he wouldn't have been alive. But maybe he was traumatized by an incident as a kid. Therefore, it made him susceptible to drag Adrian Mellon into the it world. I don't know. But that is now, I'm starting to think of things now. I literally saw it and got right home and jumped on here. So the fact I haven't had like a moment to really reflect on things and sit on it. I've just been like spewing everything I could think of. I heard a streamer say that hate settings in space. I heard a streamer say they hate settings in space because they have a huge fear of it. When her boyfriend pointed out she likes Star Trek, she said, I just pretend it's nighttime. What? Henry Bowers and Beverly's husband become agents of it. Yes. In the miniseries, Beverly's. Oh no. Yeah, no. In the miniseries, Beverly's husband doesn't. But Bill's wife kind of doesn't become an agent of it, but she becomes possessed by him or attacked by him, so to speak. And she was an adult, so she wasn't a Losers Club member, but she was directly related to Bill, like married to Bill. I mean, Pennywise targets weak people or people who are easy prey. It's all in the book, but hard to recall now because it's so much information. I agree. I mean, I'm struggling to remember what I just saw an hour ago or 3 hours ago at this point, but I'm struggling to remember what I just saw. I can't imagine absorbing all the information in like 1,000-page novel that Stephen King wrote. Isn't it like the longest novel he ever wrote? There might be one other that's like an anthology, but I think as like a single like book, I think it is like the longest book Stephen King ever wrote. I feel like there's like a 1,200-page book, but people don't count it because it was like in 2 books or something like that. I can't remember. I'm not exactly clear, but I know it is up there as like either the longest or like top 3. Holy shit. I just realized it is almost 3 a.m. When I just said I've been talking almost 3 hours, I'm like, wait, is that the time? How do you Aiden? I just totally read Aiden Hidalgo's text out of order. And all I read was my boyfriend got killed by a clown. And I was like, wait, really? Like for a second, I was like, are you like, is this hitting like something actually close to home? But then you're like, how do you explain that to the police? My boyfriend got killed by a clown. Reading that in reverse, I literally like part of me was like, oh my God, that's fucking horrible. And then I'm like, oh wait, we're talking about things we just said. The police are corrupted by Pennywise. He basically controls Derry. That's what I heard from people. That was one of the things people told me about the book, that Derry in general, like the people are just like tainted, so to speak. Like I wouldn't say evil, but like borderline, like the guy in the pharmacy where he's like, oh, you look like Lois Lane, and like creepy little like pedophile type things. Or like when Ben was getting the H carved into him, the people in the car just drove right by. Like Eddie's mom is like a real horrible person to like Beverly and the kids, like treats her own son like a prisoner, basically. But I did hear that many times, that dairy itself is basically just like a tainted world. I skimmed and sped read, so it's a bit fuzzy. Sorry. No, any help I can get. Dark Tower. Maybe that's what it is. I think I'm thinking of Dark Tower, but it's like a series of books that if you put, like someone was saying, if you put all of them together, it's like thousands of pages, but it's still an anthology. It is made in one book. I don't ever remember it being in more than one book. It's been broken down into parts for the miniseries. It's been broken down to parts for the movie, but I'm pretty sure that there has never been parts, maybe in the very beginning, but as far as I know, it has always been a one novel book. So that to me, like you can't, like, even if they took the Dark Tower and threw them all into like a one book, like, sometimes they'll like take comic books and make like I forget what they call them. What the heck? Like, I can't remember that. I'm brain farting because I'm tired. And it's 3 a.m, but they take all the comic books, throw them into one. They could do that with the Dark Tower, but it still isn't legit. Like for that matter, you could go, I'm going to put all the episodes of Star Wars, all 9 episodes into one novel. Now it is the longest novel ever. I just wrote them over the course of 40 years and 20,000 different people were involved in it. Like that doesn't count. Wish I could stay, but time for bed. Good night, Doma. Sweet dreams. Dark Tower connects all the kings were. I wish they did a better job on the Dark Tower movie. I saw it and it wasn't the worst thing, but I never care to see it again. And I hear such amazing things about the books, like crazy tie-ins to the universes. Like someone told me there's like a fossilized like somewhere in the like one of the novels, it's like the future, and it's like they show Pennywise's like trailer and it's like a skeleton of a giant Pennywise clown or something. I don't know. I could be totally off base on this, but I remember people saying there are crazy connections to all the Stephen King universes, like something with Cujo in it or something. I don't know, but I just never have time to read. I'm not a reader. I'm a movie guy. So the second they made a crappy movie, I was like, I guess I'm never seeing Dark Tower. After I finish Dolores Claiborne and Gerald's Game, I'm going to read the Dark Tower series. Dolores Claiborne was one of the last Stephen King movies I've ever seen because I thought it was like you see like what's her name? What's the lady's name from Misery? That's Dolores Claiborne. And she was in American Horror Story. I cannot remember her name. I love her. Waterboy's mother. I know her in 100 things, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, Dolores Claiborne, one of the last Stephen King movies I saw, because I thought it was going to be like Little Women or something. I don't like, as funny as that sounds, it looked like it was all women in an old house, and it looked like a really slow burn. And I was like, I'm not in the mood for a slow burn. So recently, not recently, like 5 years ago, I went through an onslaught of horror movies that I'd never seen. And Dolores Claiborne came up in someone's top 10. And I was like, really? Dolores Claiborne in a top 10? Now I'm curious. And I watched it and it was actually really good. I'm actually a big fan of Dolores Claiborne. Crazy twists. And I love Kathy Bates. Thank you, the moon. I was going to say someone had to have wrote it by now. I love Kathy Bates, even though I don't remember her name. She is great at that role. Like the crazy, like older woman role. She is to a T. Like Misery, American Horror Story. Even actually, that's all she plays. Even Waterboy, she played like she was a great mother, but she's like a psycho, like Eddie's mother. She played like Eddie's mother in Waterboy, where she just like capsulated her child and would never let him do anything and like sheltered him from the world. That is literally Eddie's mother. So Kathy Bates is a winner, but yes, that Dolores Claiborne is a good one. I've never seen Gerald's Game. I know there's a Gerald's Game on Netflix now, but I haven't watched it yet. People told me it's slow moving, but not bad. They told me it basically the whole movie takes place in this like girl's bedroom. I've never read the book, so I don't know what it's about. But people told me that like 90% of the film takes place in a bedroom. So I was like, I don't know. I got to be in a mood for that one. But I heard it was all right. I didn't hear it was the greatest thing, but I heard it's all right. There's also another Stephen King movie with Thomas Jane that came out in the last year or two. I think that's on Netflix too. It was a year, I believe it's a year. It's like 1812 or 1912. It's actually, I believe it's in the 1900s, but early 1900s. And I'm pretty sure the name of it is the year that it takes place. But I haven't seen that yet either. But I love Thomas Jane. My favorite Punisher is Thomas Jane's. It might not be the best. And yes, what's his name? Bernthal. I forget his first name. I'm brain farting on everything because I'm running on no sleep. But Jonathan Bernthal, I think it is. But his Punisher is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But Thomas Jane, I don't know. Maybe it was the right time, right place. But Thomas Jane, I loved as the Punisher. 1912. All right, I was right. That was actually a pretty decent guess. I thought I was totally wrong. I'm like 1812 or 1912. I literally thought that because of the 1812 overture. And then I was like, wait, it's not 1800s. It's definitely 1900s. But I didn't know I was such a great guesser. I just read Misery too. Any questions about the book? Honestly, I haven't seen the movie in so long. I really wouldn't be able to tell the differences. Like I saw Misery, that had to be early 90s, and I think I saw it like then. That might be the last time I saw it. I just remember that Misery was the name of the woman in the novel. Well, I remember a lot about it, but I don't remember specifics. Like certain things I wouldn't remember if it happened or not. But I mean, obviously you remember all the big stuff. Misery was the girl. And she got pissed off that he killed off Misery. So she like kidnapped him and threw him in the cabin and basically wanted him to rewrite the story so Misery lived. I guess I do remember quite a bit. And then she bashed his leg and kept keeping him there. And then she got blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to spoil that though. But, Kathy Bates is a winner. Claiborne and Gerald's Game are a duo. The stories are connected. It's really? The Moon. Gerald's Game is actually in the same world, like directly connected, or you mean like related? They have similar like points, like similar plot points. Because I had no idea if I'm not kidding you, if Gerald's Game is directly connected to Claiborne, I might watch it tonight or tomorrow because I love when they correct you. Yes, directly. If I ask you how, will it ruin the movie? Because I almost want to know how, but if it ruins it, don't tell me. Because I am a sucker for like mixed universes way before Marvel. Like when Jay and Silent Bob, I would watch every Jay and Silent Bob movie. One, because I grew up in Jersey and I like lived like less than an hour from the secret stash. I mean, the whatever, the convenience store. Well, I guess secret stash too. But I just love like when I love catching references to other things. So it doesn't even have to necessarily be in the same universe. Even if you reference a movie from like the same genre or the same era, I just love catching references. And it is directly connected. Yeah. Don't tell me if it spoils it, but if it doesn't spoil it, I would like to know how. Like, is it like, I'm trying to think of if it's the same year. Because I feel like Gerald's Game was based on like modern day, but I honestly, it's just a complete guess. Thomas Jane, you clearly haven't seen Netflix. That's what I said. Can you believe? I said Jonathan Bernthal plays an amazing Punisher on Netflix. I'm not saying it was bad by any means. I just grew up with Thomas Jane, and I don't know. I just really liked. Jonathan Bernthal plays an amazing psycho that has lost his mind. Like in The Walking Dead, he plays the same type of character. That is like John Barenthal's character. He pretty much played the same thing in Baby Driver. He played a psycho there. He plays like the pretty boy that you don't want to cross, basically. But Thomas Jane, I think, sold it for me because he does not look like a Punisher. He looks like a pretty boy that you'd marry, which is what happened, basically. But in his other life, he is a undercover cop that gets his whole family killed and everything else. Now, I know that the Punisher by heart is a violent psycho, which is what Jonathan Bernthal is, which is why I said I completely agree with that statement that it's a better Punisher, probably. But personally, I like Thomas Jane better. I'm agreeing with you that John Bernthal is majority better overall, probably, but it's just my preference. It's like telling you I like Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. I probably watched Over the Top over 200, 300 times in my life. Most people would probably not even get through that movie. I don't know. And whenever I say that, people are like, are you kidding? Over the Top is the greatest movie ever. You guys are either closet Over the Top lovers or I've just met all the wrong people, because everyone I talk to hates Over the Top. But like I feel like every time I mention Over the Top in a video, people are like, Over the Top is the greatest thing ever. I love Over the Top, but like I honestly, besides like the Rockies and stuff like that, it's probably my favorite Sylvester Stallone movie. Rocky is in another world. Like that is like another caliber of movie to me. Rocky is its own genre. There's so many of them, it makes its own genre. But if I had to pick favorite Schwarzenegger movie, I mean Schwarzenegger, Stallone movie, I'm not even kidding. Over the Top might be at the top of my list. Not saying it's the best Stallone movie. There's many better ones. I just have a personal love and attachment of that movie. I'm not sure. All right, then if you're not sure, then don't say it. The Moon. I'd rather. I'm not kidding. I'll probably watch. Like if it wasn't so late, I would watch it right now. But being as I have work tomorrow and it's already 3 a.m, gonna have to make it a weekend thing. I actually have a couple days off this week and next week. I told you guys, as soon as summer winds down, I start getting days off all the time. It literally is not even a week into September, and I'm already getting like a day or two off this coming weekend. And next weekend, I think I have completely off. So I'm going to start pumping out videos. If you guys want, it looks like no one's talking about it anymore. So if you guys want, I'm going to end this at 3 hours, which is 5 minutes. I'm going to end it at like 4 minutes. So like 3:05, I'm going to end this, which will make it 3 hours that I've been on. But if you guys want, most of you, I believe, are from The Wire. If you guys, just out of curiosity, taking a little 8-person census over here, because that's all that's left, because it's freaking late. But which show do each one of you, if you could pick one show, which one would you guys want me to talk about? Like, I mean, not talk about, react to. The Wire's I'm sorry, I'm like literally delusional, so I'm not even making sense. The Wire's almost done, and I have many days off coming up. I might bang out The Wire. Don't quote me, guys that watch The Wire, but there's a good chance I might finish The Wire this weekend because it's so close to the end. I kind of just want to know what happens now. I already know Avon's not a part of it, so not that that ruined it for me. I just really kind of want to know. And if I have the weekend off, I'd rather just get the show done. Not even if I finish it all. I'm not saying I'm going to have it all edited, because that's 2 to 3 hours per episode of editing, plus the hour it takes me to watch each episode. Even if I have 2 days off, I'm not going to spend 16 hours editing The Wire in 2 days. I would literally have to do nothing but watch and edit The Wire. But I might get 2 out edited. Not going to quote me on that. But I'm curious, because most of you that join me in these chats found me from The Wire. When all is said and done and I got no more Wire, I don't want to like lose all you guys. So I'd like to watch something that you're interested in. Like a lot of you watch my other stuff too, but I feel like some people told me, when like other reactors I've seen told me that when you finish like a major show, that your subscribers drop off. And I'm like, I don't even have a whole lot of subscribers. So if I lost like half my subscribers, I'd barely be cracking 1,000. I'd actually lose the ability to like do live streams and monetize and stuff. I don't even care about the monetizing, because it literally amounts to like $5 or $10 a week or something like that. It's like not a lot. I have jobs. I make money. I don't care about that. But there's certain things I can't do when I dip below 1,000. Like I can't do live streams on my phone. Like for instance, I live streamed at the theater when I was in the car at the theater today. I can't do that if I don't have 1,000 subscribers. You have to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers in order to do live streams off a mobile device. So I'm like afraid that when The Wire ends, I mean, I doubt I'd lose that many, but like I just not even because I'm like kissing ass and I'm like, I just want to do whatever keeps you guys around. I just like talking to you guys, and I don't want to like lose people that I enjoy talking to just because like I'm not doing a show they like. So that is the point. Now I'm going to read what you guys wrote. I have seen Crank. I did like Crank. I heard they're going to make a third Crank, but it never came to fruition. They made a sequel, heard there was a second, never saw it. I'm not sure if it would ruin it. I saw that. I've been sinking my teeth into everything Stephen King. The Moon, I hope you subscribed and join more chats because I love Stephen King and I would love to talk more with you about other stuff. It's just getting late. So I hope you subscribed and I hope you join for more talks. I've never seen your channel before. I just wanted to talk about it. There's 2 seasons of Westworld. Well, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I don't know if you're meaning that you just randomly caught on and you're just talking. I don't know how often you come on YouTube, but if you do, feel free to join these things. I typically do these Friday. People that join me, like a lot of the people in the chat are here all the time. They know I do Friday live streams. So tomorrow night, I'm probably going to do one. So join us tomorrow if you'd like. We'll talk more. I'm definitely going to talk more about this. I just jumped on because I really just wanted to vent about all my thoughts. So we're probably going to talk about this tomorrow, along with The Wire finishing up this season, stuff like that. I'll also do this again where I'm going to ask people what kind of shows they want. Now, sorry I keep ranting, but Westworld I am caught up on and I love it. I am definitely 100% going to react to season 3. I don't know if there's a release date on that yet. Maybe one of you know that. But I've watched Westworld like 3 or 4 times through. I am extremely into Westworld. It is like my new Lost. I literally watched it every day live. Then I would rewatch it. I never reacted to them because it was before I reacted to stuff. But I've basically seen it 2 or 3 times from beginning to end, season 1 and 2. So that is not an option. Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul might be the one I do. I'm going to do this. Can you believe tomorrow I'm going to do this in the live stream? And I'm also going to say it in the next couple episodes I do of The Wire. Before I start, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to do what I just did with you guys. Hey, pick a show because I want to keep my Wire people. So I'm going to say it again, but I have a feeling a lot of them are going to say Better Call Saul and The Shield. I don't know why, but I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't give my opinion. But a lot of the people that watch The Wire are very into The Shield. And also The Corner, that also was done by the guy that did The Wire. I can't think of his name real quick. But a lot of people said to do The Corner, and The Corner is supposedly only like a 6 or 8 episode miniseries. So maybe I'll do that because that's a quick watch. I could bang that out in like a month. But I'm gonna leave it up to the fans. I'm gonna leave it up to the Wire people or whoever's on live stream tomorrow. Don't even have to be Wire people. If you're on the live stream and we're talking about The Wire and you vote or you tell me, it could happen. So I heard in a huge rant that Westworld drops the ball hard in the end of season 2. I honestly thought they dropped the ball in the beginning of season 2. I still liked it, but I thought they were like going off into a weird direction. And then at the end, I actually really liked the end of season 2. Like I thought, I would want to say like episode 7 on was great. I thought a lot of my friends actually stopped watching Westworld like around episode 3 or 4 of season 2. They're like, I'm done. This is stupid. They like the show lost them. One of my best friends literally just stopped watching it and to this day has never seen it. And he's like, maybe I'll watch season 3. I'm like, dude, it gets really good. I praise the end of season 2. I think if the end of season 2 was as good as the beginning, I think if the beginning was as good as the end, it would have been better than season 1. But season 2 just started at such a slow moving, odd pace. But I love the end. I understand how people cannot like it, but I personally liked it. I do see why people would not like it. It's solely based on your taste. And I could see both ways. It's not like, what are you crazy? You didn't like season 2? It's one of those things where you could like, all right, I see it. At its height, I only watched Adventure Time and The Wire, so I didn't see Deadwood, Misfits, Westworld, Game of Thrones. I don't still come by for the streams. I'd still come by for the streams regardless. See, maybe I'll do that too. I still got to finish. See, I probably should do Misfits because Adventure Time is gotten me flagged and I have a strike. You guys know this if you talk to me. Adventure Time, don't ask me why. I do the shortest little videos and I've put up like a dozen and never got a problem. And I do the same format as every other reaction. Something got me a strike. Half of you know that. Maybe all of you know that. So I stopped for now, stopped doing Adventure Time. I'm going to wait until I resolve the strike issue. I'm not going to keep doing a show that is giving me strikes on my channel. God forbid I get one more, a third one suspends me, and a second one might suspend my live streaming. So I am not taking any chances. It was so much torture to not be able to do shit like this for 3 months. I got a live stream ban for 3 months because of the premiere of Game of Thrones. So I am not making mistakes like that again, and I am going to watch what I do. So got to halt. That's why there's been no Adventure Time, but I still got to finish Deadwood and I still got to finish Misfits. Those of you that are wondering about Deadwood, I never finished Deadwood because Deadwood gave me a strike on my channel for the exact same thing. I disputed it and they gave me my video back and said, we're sorry, but I got pissed off about it. And now I'm like uneasy about the Deadwood because even though I was right and did nothing wrong and they released it back to me, I'm like, is this going to happen again now? Because it's such a pain in the ass. You got to fill out forms. You got to write emails. You got to dispute. You got to edit up your videos. One episode gets flagged. It could take up a whole day of I only have a couple hours a day to do this. And sometimes not even that. So if I get one strike, there goes an entire day of progress content I could do. So when shit happens, like a strike on my channel, even if I'm right and I get it back, it makes me discouraged. Misfits, I've never had a problem with. The Wire, never had a problem with. Stranger Things, never had a problem with. And Stranger Things is as mainstream as you can get. So, like, if I could get away with Stranger Things and I'm doing the same format with that as everything else, it doesn't make sense to me why I would get flags with other things. But like I said, I don't get it because I'm not doing anything wrong. They've even said it. The last one that I got with Adventure Time, YouTube sent me back an email and said, we're not disagreeing that you're wrong, or that you're right, but fair use isn't enough of a reason anymore for us to take it to the next step. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's a reason. And they're like, yeah, but like, you got to give us more. I'm not even kidding you. They literally told me, even though I'm probably right, that there's so much shit going on with YouTube now that fair use isn't even a legitimate reason, at least in that particular case. I've disputed other things for fair use and gotten them back. Don't ask me why. Adventure Time is in a realm of its own, which it cracks me up because Adventure Time is like, I mean, season 1 at this point is like 10, 15 years old. I don't know how many seasons there are, but there's a lot. So season 1 has happened a decade ago, and it's not even like a mainstream show. It was on like a cable network. Hardly anyone I talk to knows about it, except for like a few select friends and family and stuff. But like, I just don't get it. It's like, of all shows, Adventure Time got me the fucking ban. Like Game of Thrones got me a ban, but I was wrong. I will admittedly say I was wrong when I got my ban from Game of Thrones. So besides that, I've never done anything wrong. And I took my ban. I got 90 days. I took it like a man and I ate what I did. But like, this makes no friggin' sense. I did nothing wrong. YouTube's telling me they can't help me and I'm screwed. So anyway, react to Serial Experiments Lane. What is that? I would love to know what that is. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. Probably going to end up doing Misfits because of all that. Can't do Adventure Time. Better Call Saul gave me a lot of problems. And Deadwood got me a strike once before in the past. So Misfits being the only one I've never had an issue with. And so many people write me in the comments, even on other videos. People in other videos will write me comments all the time and say, are you going to do Misfits? And they say the same thing about Deadwood. A lot of people ask about Deadwood, but I told them why I can't do Deadwood. Misfits, there's no excuse. Misfits, I just didn't have time, and I was trying to finish up The Wire. So good chance there'll be Misfits. Good chance there'll be Better Call Saul. I heard a huge... WW is not perfect, but hell, what is? Westworld. Oh, yeah. No, it's not perfect. Lost wasn't perfect. Lost is like my favorite show of all time. And I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. I don't hate on it like some people. I accept it for what it is, but I have a lot of issues with Lost. So many things unsaid. Lindelof gives like an inner, like the all 6 seasons tells us you will get your answers. You will get your answers. And then after the show ends, does an interview and says, what did you think I was going to give you all your answers? Yeah, because you fucking told me I was gonna. If you told me, guys, in day one, if he said, guys, don't expect to get answers to all this shit, then I would have been like, cool, you never lied. For 6 seasons, this dude pumped down our throats. If you look at the end of the last season of Lost, every episode in the trailer, I mean, in the commercials, it would say, keep watching and get every answer you ever wanted. Stuff like that. It would flash on the screen. Get like, tune in next week and get every answer you ever thought you'd never get. Rah, rah, rah. And then they friggin' screw the pooch. And then on top of it, they spit in your face and Lindelof says, what did you think you were gonna? Yeah, because you're a friggin' liar. That's what I thought I was gonna. You always do a Discord server for subscribers if that ever happens. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. By the way, JoJo has its own copyright. Most people don't use the audio and just watch subbed for reactions. Really? I didn't know that. I've never seen JoJo. Know all about it. I know like each season it's its own thing as a relative of JoJo or like a descendant or something. And I know like the plot points. Never seen JoJo though. And now I kind of don't want to if I can't use the audio. Well, I'll watch it, but like not on a reaction. I love YouTube, but it's super corrupt. Yeah, I know. I mean, I never did anything like this. I'm not even on social media. You guys, if you watch me, you know. My brother set up a Twitter for me. I barely ever look at it or go on. If it ever is filled out, it's by him. He made me a Facebook. He does all my thumbnails and stuff. I'm just like not, my brother is into social media. He has his own business. He does stuff like that. I don't do social media. I'm a construction worker my whole life, contractor by heart. I lift things up and put them down. I am a laborer, so to speak. I don't know anything about, I mean, I know about it, but I don't deal with social media. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have Twitter. Do I use them? If I have to. But like doing things like this, like I watch Collider Live and they're all about my age. I'm in my like mid 30s. So they're all about my age. And they're all saying the same thing. They're like, I do live shows all the time, podcasts, this and that. He goes, I haven't been on Twitter in like 3 months. I'm like, I don't think I've ever been on Twitter ever. I think I like maybe write things through like other, like if I write things on like certain things, they pop up on Twitter or something like that. That's how lost I am, guys. I'm aging myself here, but it has nothing to do with age because a lot of my friends that are older than me use Twitter like it's their job. I just like it's, I feel like if your job is more that realm, then like you're more into it. But like I've never needed those things for what I do for a living. So like jumping into this less than a year ago, it's like I'm like it's all new to me, except for Facebook. I've always used Facebook, but everyone uses Facebook. So let's go through. I definitely went over the time, but I'm enjoying myself. Adventure Time was Cartoon Network, cash cow for 10 years, so it's pretty big. All right, so maybe there is a reason for that. SEL is an anime. Oh, that's the Serial Experiments Lane. I don't think I've ever seen. I definitely haven't seen it, but I don't think I've ever even heard of it. Don't Google too much into it because of spoilers. I've tried to avoid thinking about Lost. Is it new? SEL, is it new? Or is it just something I've never heard of? By the way, if I notice more and more people keep coming into the chat, but I don't see anyone talking. If anyone wants to ask questions about it, feel free. We talked about it for hours, and I just don't want to repeat myself. But there's 9 people according to my screen. There is anywhere from 9 to 11 people in this room, and all I see talking is the moon and can you believe? I think I saw like 1 or 2 other little comments. I just don't understand how there could be close to a dozen people at 3 a.m. and no one wants to talk. I feel like if you're up at 3 a.m, then you have something to say. But you don't have to. Not that I have anything against talking to you two. I just feel like either I in my mind, I'm always thinking that like the statistics are wrong. Like there's 12 people in this room and only 2 have talked in the last 10 minutes. I almost feel like it's not giving me legitimate statistics, but maybe a lot of people just like to listen. JoJo is best subbed because they speak in English on some random sentences and it's clear the VAs can't speak. Oh, so, well, most times, I mean, most of the times I'd subtitle anyway, but I get what you're saying. I guess some of those things could be pretty broken up. I'm assuming JoJo gets better though. If it's so high, if it's as big as it is, I assume JoJo's got to get better. Like the voiceovers and stuff, or maybe not. I don't know. There's a whole video called Best English Moments. Really? I'm completely lost with technology due to never owning a computer. Can you believe? I don't believe that. SEL is from the 90s. Really? That's when I watched anime. How did I not? I bet you if I saw cover art or something, I'd know, because the 90s is when I was into anime, like pretty big into anime. So, but then like once I graduated high school, went into college, I kind of like, not that I dislike it now. I just kind of went into movies and television, kind of like left the anime. The thing was in high school, every kid I was friends with was into bootleg anime. And it was like the only way you could see like naked women, even though they were animated. Like it was like, I was like 10 years old and bootlegs were flying off the shelves everywhere you go. And every like kid my age was trying to see a animated boob. So I got really into anime, but it wasn't like all perverted anime. Like I watched regular stuff. It's just like, that's what got me there. Like kids were like, dude, Galago 13, the professional, the animated one. They're like, watch this. And it was like a badass assassin movie, but there were like naked women everywhere. So that's what a 10-year-old wants to see. I don't know if it counts me as 2 because I'm using 2 devices. Interesting. I don't know. I'm curious myself. Maybe it does. I just got in from the bar and I fucking loved it part 2. Roland 666. Thank you for speaking. Oh, there's a couple. Oh no, that's the same guy. Roland 666. Did you like it better than part 1? I nitpicked a lot of things, but I still really was entertained. I really did like it. I told people I will probably watch this every Halloween as a double header. Like this is the type of movie you want to throw on TV when you're at like a Halloween party and just watch these fuckers back to back. Like boom, boom, 5 hours of great scares. You did like it better than part 1. Nothing against that, but you're the first person I heard say that. I think they were close, but I think part 1 eked it out. My sister did say she was not sure. My sister, I will give you that. My sister did say when I said, I think part 1 eked out by a bit because it was just more kid oriented. In my mind, chapter 1 was almost a perfect movie, like a horror movie. It was almost like a perfectly made horror movie. It had its problems, but not a whole lot. I feel like I can nitpick things in chapter 2 more than chapter 1. That's the only reason chapter 1 in my mind is better. But love chapter 2. I just feel like I said, I just feel like there's more to nitpick on chapter 2. But no, the voices. Roland, what was your favorite part? We have been talking about it. I've been on for almost 3.5 hours. And I've talked about pretty much everything from beginning to end. But I'm curious because only one other person has seen it, and it's the moon. So right now, there's 3 people that have seen it, but me being one of them. And the moon already gave me her opinion on the whole matter. The voices stay the same quality because it's just English where they sound bad. Oh, okay. What do you mean? I've never owned a computer. Can you believe what 2 devices are you using? My guess is an iPad and a cell phone. I just find it hard to believe that you're using 2 devices and one isn't a computer. I mean, not that it's insane nowadays. I mean, that actually is kind of insane nowadays if you've never owned a computer. That would be kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's not even like in my mind, it's not even like a money factor at this point. You could like buy a computer for like $20, probably. I mean, I don't know for sure, but you probably could get a decent computer for pretty cheap nowadays. Unless you're like, oh wait, you might be. I forget. You might be young. I think you're the one that we've bantered with, and you're on the younger side of the spectrum. A phone and an Xbox. You could do YouTube on Xbox. That's yet again, I'm showing my true colors of my lack of technology knowledge. I don't own a PS4. I don't own an Xbox. What is it? What's the friggin' Xbox One? I don't have an Xbox One. I didn't even know what it's called. I have a Wii U. I have a PS3, but I haven't played video games in like 10 years. I have an arcade. So if I ever want to play games, I go to my arcade and I play the real thing. My favorite scene was when Richie forgot a line from his own comedy routine, yelled at the kid. Oh my God, that was right. I didn't mention that scene. I forgot. That was that I bursted out laughing in that scene. There, what? Oh, the moon said that. If those of you who haven't seen it, at one scene where they see Dean, it might be the first time they see Dean. No, I feel like that might be the first time. If not, there's like one other time. I can't remember the order, but I think it's the first time they see Dean. It's right after the Chinese restaurant thing where they're like their fortune cookies come to life and they're petrified and they don't trust anything they're seeing. And a little kid runs up to him, which is Dean, and makes a comment that is a lot like a joke line. I forget the line. Yeah, he says the moon forgot it too, but it's something like it's like a one-liner that Richie says in his stand-up, and Dean says it to him, and Richie, Bill Hader, grabs Dean, and it's like, "Listen, you little fucker!" Blah, 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 and they're like screaming in his face, and it ends up it's like a real kid. It isn't Pennywise. It's a real kid, but it was hilarious because they're so on edge after the scene. They don't trust anything, and a lot of people I talked to said that's their favorite part is the entire restaurant scene. Everything from when the loser club meets up at the restaurant to the minute the Dean scene happens that the moon was talking about. A lot of people said that like that straight run was the best part of the movie because it was like a solid, I don't know, 15 minutes of like great act. Like that's when all the actors are together. They're all like great at what they do. And it's like horrific. The scenes happening are horrific. And you know it's happening if you've seen the book in the miniseries. You know it's coming. And it's still horrifying. But I feel like it might be a lot of people's favorites because besides the end, it's the only time you see the whole Losers Club together. The rest of the movie, they're all off doing their own shit. They're off on like little side quests, getting like artifacts that apparently don't even matter. Like that little stuff like that. But like, here's the thing. When they were running around getting the artifacts to like, AKA kill Pennywise, I was totally into it. I was like, awesome. They're each going to like maybe group up two and two, do their little side quests. We have little adventures. We get to see a little piece of everybody. But then at the end, when Mike was like, oh yeah, by the way, I lied. It's all bullshit. I was like, so you just did all that for no reason? Because like, the only problem I had with it was that it amounted to nothing. Now, I guess that was kind of like a twist, but I didn't like that. I wanted it to either mean something or have them focus all their actions on to something more important. But I mean, I was on board while it was happening. So I guess it wasn't the worst thing. Like I said, I'm not hating the movie. I think it's great. I'm just going out of my way to be devil's advocate and pick on things. It was cool. Wait, where am I? Xbox One has an app. Oh, I figured. I should have known that. I'm thinking my old Xbox 360. I'm like, you could use YouTube, but maybe you could on that too. I haven't played it in freaking forever. My favorite scene was when Rich. Oh, I saw that already. Xbox. My birthday just passed. I'm a whole year older. Happy birthday, can you believe? My birthday is a month from today. I think it comes out the day after Joker or 2 days after Joker. But we're all going to see it opening night. Joker in a month. Heard good things about that. It was cool that Peter Bogdanovich was is a famous screenwriter guy in real life, but he was like the co-writer on the movie that James McAvoy's character was writing or something like that. He was involved, and maybe he was the director on it, but he was in it, very brief, but did a little cameo. That was cool. I couldn't remember his name. Thank you for saying that, by the way. In the car on the way home, I was telling my sister, I'm like, that guy was famous and he has a really long last name, but I can't remember. Bogdanovich. Oh, and you even said it. He's the director of Bill's book being turned into a movie. That was cool. I noticed right away, but like I didn't notice anyone else in the theater acknowledge it. At least that was near me. And not only that, but I also, my theater wasn't sold out. And I had like prime time showtime. Like I had 7 o'clock, right the first showtime after dinner, opening night, and I had the IMAX recliner theater, dine in. So I had like the best theater, the best sound, the best showtime on opening night. And there was like, my theater was like half empty, which I was shocked about. Like maybe not half empty. It was like 3/4 full, but still, I thought like the amount of money the first chapter made, it broke records. I expected everything to be sold out. Like you could have literally walked up like 30 seconds before the movie and got a great seat. There were seats in the middle of the theater that were like wide open. Like maybe people refunded the seats and they didn't sell them back or something, but there was great seats all over the theater and you could have just walked right in. So that kind of discouraged me because I'm like, I hope this movie does better than it. Like maybe I just went to a lame theater, but I was like, I hope it does good because I want it to do good. Not that there's going to be a part 3, but like I really liked what they did here. Even though it sounds like I'm picking on a lot of things, they really pushed the envelope on a lot of stuff. And I like that they did that. I like when people push the envelope. They had crazy severe child deaths, like lots of like gay bashing things, like crazy stuff that I don't normally see in movies. And I want to see more of that. Not that I like violence and stuff, but I want to see people push the limits of what they do in movies. I don't want to live in a world where everything is cookie cutter and like everyone's too worried about saying things or doing things. Like you go to the movies to live in a fantasy world. I don't go to the movies to be like, well, I didn't see that in real life and that's not right. You don't see it in real life because it's a movie. If you saw it in real life, you wouldn't have to go to the movies. I go to the movies to experiment, to experience like new shit, crazy shit. What do we got here? Oh my God, a lot of people wrote stuff. The fortune cookie, wait, it was cool, blah, blah, blah. The fortune cookie scene is a bit different in the book, but all the cookie monsters are book references. Really, that's cool. I know in the miniseries was much quicker about that scene. They showed each fortune cookie had a certain thing, but it was like practical effects real quick. It was also television in the 80s, so they couldn't be too gory or bloody or horrific. But I still enjoyed the miniseries scene when they're at the restaurant. They played the song, It's All Right. It's all right. Have a good time. And they even said when they're the same when they're building the dam. So I dig it, but whatever. Not even Cookie Monster, but I noticed many. I was hoping for Dark Tower references. I was wanting to see Pennywise biggest. Yeah, the turtle. I wanted to see. See, I kind of ruined it for myself, but didn't, in the sense that somebody told me going in, they're like, dude, you're not going to believe what happens at the end. And immediately in my mind, I'm like, giant space turtle. There's going to be a fucking giant space turtle. That's the first thing and only thing I wanted. Like, not that like I'm the biggest fan, but I have read so much about that and would love to see that on film. Like, I wanted so badly. Like, even when Pennywise was dying at the end, I'm like, come on, big fucking turtle. I hope the skies part and the big friggin' turtle shows, because they were in the hole that the meteor crashed into Derry. So I'm thinking they're deep down in the hole. All they got to do is look up. If I see a friggin' giant turtle up in that hole, like because the sky is there, I wish they kept making little references, little like it kept holding the Lego turtle. The Lego turtle showed up like once or twice more in this, showed up a couple times in the last one. They talked about a turtle in the water. There was one scene where they went in like the library or a museum, and there was like a taxidermied big tortoise, like a turtle. I'm like, they're just throwing turtles down your throat, but then never had the monster turtle. The only reference I caught, wait, were you? You turned 50, right? Ha ha. Can you believe? No, I turned 38. Thank you very much. Yes, that's what I was most looking forward to, the larger connections and the turtle. Yeah, that's see the moon. That's probably my biggest gripe is I loved everything they did. But if you took out like the hotel shit I was talking about and like some of the other stuff, you could have thrown in like another 20 or 30 minutes of deep lore and thrown in a giant turtle. I don't know. Maybe they thought the turtle. My guess is they thought the space turtle was a little too much for your average audience. Like we would have loved it. The I've watched it a million times. Like the miniseries, I've watched literally like dozens of times. I study it. I watched chapter one many times. I love Stephen King, but your average fan might be like, why is there a giant fucking turtle? Like you imagine that. Imagine being a casual fan and you even saw chapter one. You even could have seen chapter one. If that ended with a giant turtle, people would have been like all over the world, like, what just happened? Why was there a giant turtle? Like it was just confused the shit out of people. But I wanted to see it. The only reference I caught, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, the only reference I caught to the larger like picture of it all is when Pennywise called itself Eater. Yes, I definitely saw that reference, Eater of Worlds. I was hoping that Eddie lived and Mike would have died and switched spots. Mike Hanlon. I for some reason I just zoned out. Eddie lived and Mike died. See, if Roland, did you see the miniseries? Because in the miniseries, Mike is the one that gets stabbed, not Eddie, but Mike gets stabbed in the stomach, I think. He's somewhere in his torso, either his stomach or his chest. Mike Hanlon gets stabbed and he gets hospitalized. He never even goes to the sewers and helps them fight. Mike ends up coming out of the hospital at the end of the miniseries and he's good to go. But he never actually fought it in the miniseries. I don't know if that happens in the book, but maybe that's what you're referencing. Love the old miniseries. So you're probably thinking it more like along those lines. As soon as I saw Eddie get stabbed in the face, I was like, they're totally going to make Mike Hanlon like nothing to do with this. The Mike Hanlon, basically his purpose in this was to stay in Derry, make his phone calls, get them all together, and that was pretty much it. After that, Mike Hanlon's character was like useless in this. He pretty much, as far as I remember, besides lying to all them and getting them to think it was like an Indian ritual where they were going to harness like the spirit of whatever it or whatever the alien. Besides that, he did nothing else. And everything that was related to that was a lie. So not only did Mike Hanlon not have nearly as much importance in this as he did the miniseries, but everything he did was a lie pretty much, except making phone calls. No, because when he made the phone calls, well, no, they did have to come back, but I think they really neglected Mike Hanlon's character, especially based on what it's supposed to be from what I know. Even Bill, I feel like they really neglected Bill's character. But like I said, if you told me we either got to neglect Bill and have a whole lot of Richie Tozer or cut out Richie Tozer to make Bill better, I'd rather Richie Tozer and Eddie. Richie and Eddie were my favorite. Jessica Chastain's right in the middle. I like loved her too. She was more focused, but I would say my least favorite was Adult Ben. Adult Ben did not seem like he wasn't a bad actor, but he just seemed like he never had the right emotion. Like I'm not saying he was bad, but like when he was getting buried alive, like I just didn't buy that he was in love with Bev. I didn't buy like he's like like about to die and he's like, Bev, I love you. Like I don't know, the whole thing I just was like it took me out of the element. I didn't buy it. I think he was by far the worst. Even Stanley, the guy that played Stanley was a decent actor. It just he was in it for freaking a minute. But he was even really good. I would say that Ben, he was like a pretty boy. He got really shredded. He got in shape. He became extremely successful. And his whole purpose in this movie was to be Bev's like love interest. Basically the whole letter thing. In one scene, that was another one I didn't talk about. In the one scene where Bev is having the cigarette in the science lab, and it ends up it's not Bev, it's Pennywise or it. And I don't know if some of you caught this that saw it, but January Embers, your fire, like your fire hair kind of thing. She literally, her head exploded and her hair set fire. So it was like, your hair is like fire, January Embers. I think that's what it is. Your hair is like fire, January Embers. I think that's what it is. But her hair turned to fire and was literally like embers flying up. Sorry about that. Was literally like embers flying off. So that was a really cool effect. Even though you could tell it was CGI clearly because a child's head isn't caught on fire, but it was pretty well done and it was fucking scary. Like you knew it was. See, the thing I like about its jump scares is they don't just jump scare you. It's not like, well, it's not like you're like here and then like something just comes like this and goes gah and scares you. They'll be like, there's about to come something right here. Like they'll literally tell you, like, something's coming. You ready? You ready? Here it comes. It's coming. It's coming. Bah! And then it'll get you. And you know it's coming, but it still freaks the shit out of you. Like they're literally like, like he made references like, you're not Bev. Bev wouldn't say that. And Bev's like, you're a fucking pathetic fat bastard, something like that. You immediately know, oh shit, things are about to happen, but you can't do anything about it. And you don't, and the loudness and the like quick shots is what gets you. If it was a solid shot of just like Bev going like this, like on fire, like I hate you or something like that, it wouldn't nearly be as scary as them just flashing back and forth. Like literally you're getting like epileptic fits, and the IMAX is so loud that all you hear is screaming and yelling and other people terrified in the audience screaming and yelling. It's like insanity. So all I know is, like I said, it was a good movie, but I totally get why you'd feel certain ways about it. Let me see what's going on here. I totally miss it a bunch now. Also, the Lost Boys poster was cool. Yes, definitely. Immediately pointed that out to my sister. She loves the Lost Boys. She was like, kind of like looking down. I think she was answering a text on her phone, which is shame on you. You do not play on your phone. I should have turned her phone off on her, but I'm pretty sure she was texting. And I'm like, look, it's the Lost Boys. And she looked up and was like, oh shit. But I'm like, maybe it's because it's a 3-hour movie and occasionally you got to check your text. I don't know. But that was happening. I was sitting next to a bunch of teenagers on their phones. Oh my God. That is insane. I didn't even read that text solely based off the Lost Boys poster. I said that. That is creepy that you were literally mentioning people on their phone as soon as I said that. I just realized how dry my lips are. There were only 3. Oh, because you're saying about how I was saying my theater was empty. There were only 3 other women in my showing. Really? See, mine was mixed. Mine was a lot of couples, like literally almost all couples, like guy, girl, guy, girl, guy, girl, like all, like I saw a guy, girl in like everywhere I looked, there was guy, girl, guy, girl. I was the only one. I went with my sister. I mean, maybe it was brothers with their sisters, but it looked like a bunch of guys with their girlfriends. So it was pretty split. But like I said, at least a quarter of the theater was empty. There was only 3 other women in my showing. It was cool that there weren't more balls to the wall with the blood and gore in part 2. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I have to scratch my foot. Was that a Tommyknockers reference with the Indian stuff? I don't know. I did see Tommyknockers. Haven't seen it in a long time. I saw that back in like the 90s, I want to say. But I don't know. Was there an Indian reference in the novel? I didn't read the book, so I don't know. Maybe there was a reference in the novel. Apparently, there was the theater in Austin. They didn't have an incline, so it didn't matter if you were 2 or 6 aisles behind someone. They'd still block you. Also, some seats faced backwards. What? Was that intentional? What? Like, what? Why would, I mean, that sounds hilarious and it sounds intentional, but that would probably piss a lot of people off that were there. It's funny to me. Random pillars blocking your view. Like, what was the intent though? Just for like to intentionally be funny, but that would piss everyone off. They probably had to refund everybody. You got to be fucking kidding me. Was a great reference to John Carpenter's Thing. Oh my God. Yes. The reference to The Thing was amazing. Cool Shining shot out in the bathroom, blood with Bev. Yes, they had Shine. Yeah, they did. They did many shout outs. The Thing one was probably my favorite. If I'm talking references, The Thing was pretty freaking cool. It was like spot on. Like it wasn't like a little hint. It was like the fucking head from The Thing with Stanley's face. Why would I buy a computer? I don't know how to use it. Love the old man mini. Honestly, I'm making cracks. Can you believe about a computer? But now that I think of it, I didn't have a computer until like a legit computer until I started doing this. I would use like an iPad, my phone, like my Roku TV. I actually didn't really use a computer either. There's so many other ways to access internet now. I only bought a computer setup like this to do this. Like, because it's much more convenient for editing and stuff like that. I have several monitors now. Had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have like a laptop or something, but I would not have the setup I have. I literally bought like top of the line everything so that I wouldn't have to worry about like updating my computer. The last thing I want to do is be doing a video and then have like equipment breakdown and now I got to update stuff. So I literally had this built less than a year ago when I like right before I started doing YouTube. My cousin and one of my good friends is IT guys. So they literally custom built me an entire rig and everything was like literally state of the art, like best of everything except my graphics card. I bought my brother's old used graphics card because he still had a really good graphics card. And I was like, I've already spent so much money. Let me just take this used one. So when that breaks, I do got to replace that. But besides my graphics card, my computer is pretty much A1, I would say. I mean, it was 8 months ago, so it's probably obsolete already. Who's kidding? Loved the old miniseries. I saw that. In the book, Mike never fights it as an adult. Oh, whoa, I just jumped this or something. Where did I go? Oh, there it is. In the book, Mike never fights it as an adult. See, even knowing that we're talking about it, I keep getting thrown off by the word it. Like it keeps fighting it in the movie. It, oh yes, it. It also could help that it's 4 a.m. and I haven't slept in like a day or two. I can't believe there are so many. I feel like there are more people talking now, but I still feel like it says there's 11 people in the room and I only see 3 talking and myself. But maybe there's some silent people just watching along. Anywho, I already said I was going to end this at 3:05 and it is 3:45. So I'm going to try to finish up the comments, but I got to go to bed soon, guys. I do have work tomorrow. I have off the weekend, but I do have work tomorrow. Call Shining Shadow. I'm just going to try to finish these up. I just keep losing where I am. Mike Hanlon will be back in Dr. Sleep, but will be played by a different actor. Really? Mike Hanlon is going to be in Dr. Sleep? Who was he in The Shining? Like, was he referenced in The Shining? Is he like someone's son? That's very interesting. And if they're going to bring him back, why would you use a different actor? That's very odd to me that they would combine the universes with a main character and not use the same actor, especially because the actor didn't do a bad job. He just had no screen time. Like everyone I think did phenomenal except Ben was not even bad. He was just the worst of the group, but everyone was great. I thought even the side characters, even the secondary characters, the people of Derry, the extras, everything was great. Oh, and then the moon is saying what to Roland's comment about Dr. Sleep. Did you see the Demogorgon was added as a killer in Dead by Daylight, as well as Steve Harrington and Nancy Wheeler as survivors? Also, a new map being the hospital. I know of the game Dead by Daylight, but I haven't played it, but I didn't hear about any of those things. But that's actually pretty cool. Survivors, that's actually pretty cool. I'm a fan of Stranger Things, so that's interesting, but I just don't play the game. So, what? Oh my God, I love DBD, but haven't played since the play came out. Been busy. Why am I brain farting on DBD? I'm like so out of it. Why am I thinking DBD? Oh my God, I love DBD, but I haven't played since the play came out. Been busy. Oh, Dead by Daylight. You just freaking said it. The theater was built terribly. Oh, it was just built horribly. I used to stream without a computer. Xbox One has the ability to just stream using the console. The Stand is getting a new miniseries. The Stand is probably one of my favorite. It's definitely in my top 3. I like it better, but The Stand might be a close second. I loved it. Even the miniseries. I thought that miniseries was done very well considering the time it came out and the fact that it was on television. I thought they dealt with the Stand miniseries in a really cool way. I am very excited to see the new miniseries. I didn't know it was on the Paramount Network, and Netflix is doing Kings in the Tall Grass along with a new Tommyknockers. I knew about Tommyknockers remake. I don't know what Kings in the Tall Grass is. I've never heard of that. But The Stand being on Paramount Network, is that a television network or is that like a streaming thing? I don't even know what that is. I know Paramount. Are you telling me I'm going to have to, is that like a cable station or am I going to have to buy another streaming service? Because I definitely want to see The Stand. See, I hate when they do that because it's not even the money for me. It's more so the fact that they're not going to get as much exposure if they use like the Paramount. Like I am a movie TV guy and I don't even know what the Paramount Network is. So if I don't know, like 50% of the world isn't going to watch that show. I wish like I think that happened with Picard is on CBS. I don't have CBS. I don't watch Star Trek. But if I did watch Star Trek, I wouldn't be able to watch it because I don't have CBS All Access. And I'm not going to pay for a 20th streaming service for one show. So like Picard could suffer. I mean, Star Trek's got a huge fan base. But if it was like a smaller show, like there was another show that came out recently that I loved that did horrible because it was on a bogus streaming network. I can't remember what it was, but there's probably a lot of cases like that. Where did I leave off? Mike Hanlon also pops up in King's book Insomnia. I don't know. That one I did hear of, but I know nothing about it, but I definitely seen and heard of that. Bev and Richie pop up in King's. 2260. Oh, that's right. Wait. Bev and Richie pop up in King's. I am insane. When you guys are saying Kings, you mean Stephen King. I am that tired, guys. Before, when you said Kings in the Grass, you meant Kings. That's how far my mind is gone right now. So you mean Kings in the Tall Grass. I literally thought it was called Kings in the Tall Grass. Like the title was Kings in the Tall Grass. I just realized I did see 11/22. And Bev and Richie did pop up in the show. What were they, though? I do remember that now. Like the show with James Franco, the miniseries. I love that miniseries, by the way. That was actually really well done. A lot of like slight references to Back to the Future. But I do remember seeing Bev and Richie, but I forget how they were in it. But I do remember being like surprised. It's just, it was like years ago and it wasn't fresh on my mind yet. I don't even think Chapter 1 was even a thought yet at that point. Maybe it was. Chapter 1 might have been out at that point. I don't know. All I know is it seems like a long time ago to me. It seems like at least a good year or two ago. So I guess Chapter 1 would have been out. Practically all of King's work is connected in some way, even if Minute subbed. Paramount is a new network channel. It's on the same channel as it. Oh, maybe I do have that channel then, because I'm pretty sure my sister lives with me and I'm pretty sure she watches Yellowstone or saw it at least. So maybe I get the Paramount Network. Reminder that Stephen King wrote a book ended with a kid shooting up his high school and it's been out of print since the 2000s. A reminder. I did hear about that too, but only recently, I guess because of all the school shootings and stuff. Somebody did mention that to me. Dubbed is better, but okay. Bev and Richie were outside playing with a yo-yo, I think. And weren't they like teenage Bev and Richie? Or were they young? Oh, no, they were young. They were definitely young. Bev and Richie were outside, I think. Paramount is just Spike, but it got rebranded. Oh, okay. Oh, I used to watch Spike all the time. I didn't know Spike is gone. I used to watch like Thousand Ways to Die. Wasn't Always Sunny on Spike? I feel like Always Sunny, UFC. I used to watch a lot of UFC, and they had all like the UFC like prelims and stuff on Spike. Rage is out of print, but you can still buy it at any used bookstore. But it's a Stephen King, Richard Bachman book about the school shooting. Is it easy to come by, or is it like a rare book? Like if you find Rage, is it like buy it, it's worth money, or like you could pretty much get it at any used bookstore? I know you're saying you can't get it new, but is it like easily accessible at old used bookstores? Out of print because of Columbine. I have a few rare Bachman books. Oh, that's when, oh, that was King's other thing. I always forget that. That's King's other name. I'd imagine you heard about Rage because I was the one who told you. Well, there you go. Can you believe? I will agree with you there because I did hear about it recently and you've been in all my chats. So Mansers was on Spike. Oh my God. I forgot about Mansers. That was a good one too. Mansers would come on when A Thousand Ways to Die would, but I always remember A Thousand Ways to Die. I totally forgot about Mansers. And I would watch that all the time. That was like around the times of Jackass. So like they had all these like obnoxious, like chauvinistic shows, like the Man Show, Mansers. It was like very chauvinistic television. I got it for $20 a year ago, but it came in a collection. Oh my God, Deadliest Warriors. I was obsessed with Deadliest Warriors. They would pick a different like warrior or like a different form of martial arts or technique or something every episode, and then basically crack down which one they thought would surpass. Like they'd match up one against another. Like, would ninjas win against samurais? Something like that. I love that show. Someone told me that they recently brought it back like a couple years ago and had like one season, but I think it was like only on streaming or something. And I tried getting some episodes, but it was like really hard. And I don't remember. Fear Factor was on Spike too. I think you're right. I watched a lot of Spike apparently because all these shows I remember. That was good reality TV with Joe Rogan, which is also tied to UFC, which was both on Spike. We're playing the 10 degrees of Joe Rogan. So was Bam Margera's. That's what I was saying. It's kind of in the vein of Jackass. Maybe I'm thinking of Bam Margera's stuff. Didn't Bam Margera have another show too? There is Bam Margera's World Destruction Tour, but there is also like, I can't remember what it was, where he was like constantly fucking with his parents. I know he did in Jackass too, but like this was like his show and all he did was fuck with his parents. Bam Margera's Viva La Bam. There you go. Yeah, and I remember the song in the beginning. Oh my God. Rock and roll is here to stay. Rock and roll. And then, oh my God. And cousin, was it Uncle Vito or Don Vito? That was some good shit too. Oh my God, that's right. Bam's Unholy Matrimony. Years after Viva La Bam, he got married to the girl he was dating on Viva La Bam, who was very pretty, covered in tattoos, but he was apparently dating her forever, and they got married and had their own show. Vito is on the sex offender list. I didn't know that, but honestly, it doesn't surprise me. The dude was a weird, creepy dude. And he constantly was drinking, and Bam just let him do whatever he wanted. So it does not surprise me. He probably violated and sexually assaulted like every girl on that set. Nosferatu has a shout out in the Pennywise Circus. Wait, Nosferatu has a shout out to Pennywise Circus in the pilot episode. Really? Did that start yet, Nosferatu? I remember seeing the trailer when I was watching Walking Dead. I believe it was Walking Dead. I didn't know it started yet, though. It probably, if it did, it's got to be like very recent. I think Don Vito got arrested for cheese pizza or something like that. Groped an underage fan. That is what I would think. He probably groped every girl. Like, I mean, Bam had many a hot girl show up, and they were groupies galore during the Jackass days. So I am sure Don Vito has had his share. It doesn't matter what you look like or what you act like when you're in that world. One of those girls will probably sleep with you. And he probably pushed it a little too far. Vito was at a signing and groped an underage girl. Doesn't surprise me, like I said. But guys, I'm going to end it there. It is almost 4. I'm like falling asleep. I am exhausted. I mean, he's in prison, and it was after Viva La Bam, before Gumball Rally. I never heard of Gumball Rally. But guys, I see some people are jumping in the room. I've been on for 4 hours. So I'm going to do this again tomorrow night. I got work tomorrow, going to pump out some trailer reactions, and then I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow night. So good morning to all of you, as the moon just said. But good morning. That's actually hilarious. Good morning, as the moon just said, because the moon is still out, but it is going to be morning. The sun's coming up where I am in like an hour and a half. So everyone, I appreciate the talks. I'm happy that a bunch of you jumped in. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you want, I'm going to be on probably around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Talk more about this stuff. And I haven't finished Castle Rock season 1. I got like 3 episodes left. I was really into it, but then it looked like people weren't watching it, and I actually got afraid that it would get canceled, and I didn't want to get too invested. If you're telling me season 2 is coming out, then I will finish season 1, because I was interested, and I believe Skarsgård was the main guy, right? So definitely interested. But Race Around Europe was Gumball Rally. I never heard of it. Anyway, good night, everybody. I don't know who's the 9 or 10 people still in this room, but I see 3 of you. So the moon, Can You Believe, and Roland 666. Whoever else is in this room. Season 2 has a big misery. Oh, then I'll have to catch up. I'll have to catch up on season 1, and then I'll have to watch Salem's Lot and Misery again, just so I refresh. But on that note, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.